What's going on? I am Nando.
And I'm DJ.
And I'm Diggins.
And this is Mostly Nitpicking, a podcast where every week we pick apart a piece of pop culture by looking exclusively at the details. Woohoo!
Woo! Yeah, hooray!
This week we're doing a Fast and Furious movie.
Yeah. The worst one.
The one I have the most trouble with. Yeah.
What do you mean you have the most trouble?
I can never remember what it's called. Which one are we doing?
Fast and Furious.
Fast ampersand Furious?
Yes.
Is this the ampersand one? Okay. Yeah, it's so weird.
This is a real story. I have a friend who bought the Blu-ray collection of the Fast Saga. And was going to start watching it with a friend of his who hadn't seen them. And my friend, who is a big fan of the Fast Saga, they accidentally watched this one first because the people who packaged the Blu-ray put it first because it's so confusingly named.
Yeah, it's a real problem.
That's awful.
Well, and it falls in a weird, in 2021, we're doing the opposite now. The first one is whatever the name is, right? Batman, Suicide Squad. And then the second one is The Suicide Squad, The Batman.
Yep,
so if they would stand to reason that The Fast and Furious, or The Fast and the Furious comes second in the listing. But it does not. This one is just called Fast ampersand Furious.
Yeah.
And what a movie.
I don't know why. It's not like they were trying for some kind of reboot or whatever. It's very unclear why they went with that naming convention.
I would argue that this one's kind of a soft reboot. This is this is when Vin Diesel stops being a petty criminal who boosts DVD players and starts being international super thief / superhero.
It's weirdly enough only the second movie he's in. It's the second Fast movie he's in.
Yeah.
Up until this point, Brian's been in more movies. Unless you count him being in 3. I was going to say, they've been
in an equal number of movies, but Brian has been the main character of more movies.
Yeah, featured. Yeah.
I would say this is I think the way this movie progresses and I think this movie starts like the fifth movie starts. It starts with something so extreme and bizarre. It's a really bad tone setter because then it gets pretty simple for a while and then it ends really big and bizarre. I think once we get to 5, it feels like they've kind of consistently figured out what works and what doesn't about this franchise, but this felt very much like experimenting just with different bits from different scripts, kind of, that were like, is this too much? Is it too much if he lands on the ground? Maybe not. And, we'll do it once, but just once, as opposed to, every time.
Yeah, I get that.
But, so, for people that don't know, this is Fast ampersand Furious, the fourth one that came out in 2000 and, what did we say, 9? No.
2009.
Yep. Okay, yeah.
That's correct.
It's going to be wild. And for people that are new to the show, which, if this is your first show, you could go back and listen to the 3 other Fast ones we've done. Not that it matters in terms of you understanding this, but it could help. We're on a road to Fast and Furious 9, a movie that will never come out.
I don't think that watching any previous Fast and Furious movie is either necessary or helpful to understanding any particular Fast and Furious movie.
I think that there can be I feel so when I caught up Michelle to the franchise, I think it was before 8 came out. I had her watch 5, 6, and 7, and I do think it helped her kind of get what's going on. I think there is some value add, is what I would say.
I think there's enough that it's whoa, that seems like that character's from a previous one. I'm sure I'm supposed to know who they are. And that's true about half of the time in almost all of these. Where
Sure.
it's become a little bit more true recently where they have been really getting the gang back together. But every so often, even those will introduce a character as if we know who that already is. And it's that's that character's first time in one of these. So, yeah, I'm sure it can help to understand how bizarre the trajectory of these Fast movies is. But, yeah, it's definitely not required reading like you would expect in a Marvel movie or even a James Bond movie.
Yeah, that's fair. And I don't think the story is the biggest thing with these movies, but I guess specifically for me, like The Rock's introduction in Fast 5, I think lays a lot of the groundwork for like what comes in like 6 and 7 and 8.
Yes.
So even if you just watched that scene, like where we're introduced to The Rock, like you wouldn't have to watch all of Fast 5. Just watch that, and then you'll kind of get what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. And we'll talk about this movie in grueling detail, if we can get through, like, if we can remember the things that happen in it.
That's a challenge.
We'll see how far we get with that. I have a feeling between the three of us, we can probably put together most of the plot. But
and I want to be very clear. I watched this movie. I don't want to be accused of not watching this racing movie. But this,
I was gonna say, DJ, this is the one time that I'm not gonna get on your case for forgetting any details, because man, this movie just slides off of your brain.
yeah.
what about it does that? Like, I'm sure there's a reason, and I'm not smart enough to know, but I'd be so curious, like, what about this movie makes it so forgettable?
I think I know what it is, kind of. And we'll touch on it as, things as we get into it. Because I want to start here with a question for both of you before we get to the fun question and stuff. I just want to know, like, for people that have not listened to the other Fast 9, prequel podcasts, where do you both stand on the Fast and Furious movies, starting with DJ?
I love them, and they're perfect masterpieces of cinema that I enjoy immensely. I love them so much. Like, no irony, straight up. I love the Fast and Furious movies.
Diggins, yourself?
I don't particularly care for them, not because I don't like big dumb action movies, I very much do, but because I find these ones, there's something frustratingly self-aware about them that grates on me, and so it makes it hard for me to enjoy them.
You're not a man of culture, Diggins. That's what it is. You don't understand the nuance and complexity of these, the pathos of the family and what they have to go through.
Yeah, that's it.
That's the
not all the butts and stuff.
Uh-huh.
A lot of butts.
Not
in
the
this
butts. The butts are fine. I mean,
yeah, I'm down for that.
That's
the style of the times.
Yeah, I mean, there should be more Vin Diesel butt, but other than that,
yeah, I would feel better if the butt distribution was spread out amongst all kinds of peoples.
Oh. And also, I would say while these early movies are very big on the TNA, as DJ is alluding to, as the franchise goes on, it becomes strangely sexless.
Yeah.
Right? That's a good point, actually. Well, it's because, as Nando's pointed out 1,000 times, these movies have very non-sexual leads because all they can care about is cars and guns. Get these fucking women out of here.
Except for Hobbs and Shaw, which of course has the smoldering romantic chemistry between Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson and Jason Statham.
That's right. And I think, that is why I love Tyrese so much in these movies. And he's, he doesn't show up here, but in general is because his character always just kind of does the same thing. He makes jokes and hits on women and screams a lot when he's driving. And that's great because I think as the other characters stopped hitting on women or all started becoming dads and stuff that everybody else got lost that, but he still got it. It's wonderful. Which we will talk about him. Guys, let's I have a question for you.
Yeah.
What's the IMDb summary for this whatever it is movie?
Oh, buddy. Who knows?
Okay, so Diggins won last week. So do you want to go first or second? I'll give you you have the option.
I'm going to go second.
Okay.
Very good. DJ,
right.
What is the summary for Fast & Furious 2009?
After seeking revenge for the murder of his girlfriend Letty, Dominic Toretto must team up with Brian to take down a Mexican drug lord, period. That's it. To take down a Mexican drug lord, period.
Diggins?
When his beloved girlfriend is murdered, Dominic Toretto has to return to his old neighborhood and team up with old friend / enemy Brian O'Connor to take down a Mexican drug lord with a Portuguese name for some reason.
This is so hard because they were very similar. God, how about this? I want a tiebreaker here because I will consider this one a tie, and neither of you were perfect. Give me one more clause or something. It doesn't have to be at the end, but just like add something to the recap description thingy. Starting with DJ.
Okay, I'll say would be like must team up with Brian O'Connor, who is on the edge of being a cop and a criminal.
Okay, Diggins.
I'm gonna say after Dominic Toretto, who's still being hunted by the law.
Okay, it's DJ.
Dang.
Yes!
So, yeah, it was close, and I don't think DJ's was super on the nose, but yeah, it's an interesting one. So here's the real one. There we go. Brian O'Connor, back working for the FBI in Los Angeles, teams up with Dominic Toretto to bring down a heroin importer by infiltrating his operation. Now, both of you got most of that, except not really, but you both had some specifics about the Mexican drug lord, which is fair. You also both mentioned Letty and her untimely, we'll get to it, death, and that was not in it at all, which I thought was interesting.
Really?
Yeah,
That's weird.
They couldn't care less.
Maybe they thought they were
premise
preserving the twist that happens in the first 10 minutes of the movie.
It's very
Because,
possible.
guys, remember Letty from the first movie? That character everyone loved?
Yeah, I can't remember. What purpose did she serve in the first movie? Was she in it a lot?
I wouldn't say
really.
a lot, no.
She was
Yeah.
Dom's girlfriend and hung out with the crew, and then at the end turned out to be in on it, just like everyone else except for Mia.
Oh,
But that was basically it. She didn't really have a lot of her own going on.
that makes sense. Yeah, I mean, that is the big plot point of this movie and kind of the selling point. Although I would say, I think the IMDb summary does a pretty good job because the Letty thing doesn't really matter. It's what starts Dom on his path of, revenge and stuff, but it could be anything. That character could have killed his mom, or that character could have like cut him off in traffic, and it would have been more or less the same movie. Whereas the selling point of the movie is Dom is back teaming up with Brian, kind of, which like I think we take for granted because looking back in 2021 or I guess 2019, whenever the most recent one that we saw that had them in it, so maybe 2017. It seems like they've been friends the whole time. They're best buddies, and it's like at this point, this was like the Terminator and Sarah Connor teaming up to fight the metal one, where it's just like it's become so commonplace in the sequels that you forget how much of a mind, like how much that blew everybody's minds.
You forget that was a twist in T2.
Yeah, exactly. And it's like I think this movie kind of almost works when that stuff's happening, when it's just those two guys punching each other and arguing. I think it has a lot of other problems it has to deal with, but we'll get to that. So since you won, DJ, I'll let you go first. Let's say that's a thing. Right? That's your reward. What did you think of Fast & Furious?
So I will say, as a huge fan of this franchise, I find this movie to be quite the letdown. I think, like Diggins said, it's kind of slips out of the brain. It's pretty boring. You forget how much that, like, the rest of the family kind of helps, like, flesh things out. Like, when it's just Brian and Dom, it's incredibly drab. Like, there's nothing going on. Like, I guess Mia's kind of in this one, but barely. And she's not really involved in the action of what's going on. So, I think the character dynamics are missing. There is, like, the one big fun race, I suppose. And that's okay. But yeah, for the most part, I just find a lot of this movie to be pretty uninteresting. So not a fan.
Fair. I think that's not like the majority opinion, but I do think the consensus around the movie is that it's the bad one, or it's one of the bad ones. it's the least charming of the bad ones, when compared to the ones like Tokyo Drift or even the second one, which I'd say the three people don't like the most are those three. Although I would say at Fast 8, while being one of the ones that I feel like that one kind of came and went for me almost more than some of these. Definitely more than 2 or 3. But yeah, I'd say the general opinion among the fan base is that this is not one of the good ones. Diggins, what about you? As a non-fan, what did you think of this one?
I mean, I guess for me, it doesn't seem like egregiously worse than the rest of these, but it definitely is worse. I can see why it's the least liked one. It kind of has it's on the cusp of becoming the more bombastic, like, superhero kind of movie that Fast 5 and the other ones are like, but it still has a lot of the weird early 2000s trappings of the first few entries of the franchise, while also not going hard enough on that action angle to, like, really be interesting for large stretches of it. Like, it opens with a big scene, and it closes with a big action scene, and, like, that's kind of it. The rest of the whole middle of the movie is just more like the older ones, where people yell at each other and talk about how much they love cars and drinking Coronas. And it's just weird. And we're left with, like DJ said, we're kind of just left with just Brian and Dom for most of the movie, and I don't know. They're never the most fun of those characters.
Yeah, I'm more or less with both of you on this one. I think I'd say I'm mostly with Diggins in that, and I mean, DJ, you kind of got at this too, but I think this movie was the transitional movie between Fast 1 or even 2, not really 3, but Fast 1 or 2 and Fast 4, without necessarily, like, committing enough to it for it to be that much fun. And I think for that reason, it feels very unbalanced. I liked a lot of the bits of it. I liked the bits, like some of the action sequences. I thought the first action sequence was fun, and I thought the race was fun. But I don't think this movie commits enough to any extreme for it to be the kind of winner that some of the other ones are. Which is a shame, because, like, it's fine. I think when you get down to, like, the mechanics of it, it's about as good as all the rest of them. But it just isn't enough of something to be great or memorable. I don't know. I think... What do you guys think? Let's start here. What did you like about this movie? Let's get those things out of the way.
That's a tough one.
Did you like anything about this movie? Let's start there. The ampersand. Did you like the ampersand? I was very impressed.
I think the ampersand has a pleasing shape.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that ampersand. I have to say, I do think that race, like, is like a pretty quality race, but it's like the only, like, fun driving bit. Like, even at the end when they're driving through the tunnels, I found that to be, like, pretty. Oh, they're just driving kind of straight. Like, I like it's so bad in the tunnels. Like, I think this movie's like better. Like, these movies are better when they take kind of risks with that stuff. Like, even though in Fast 5, like, the end with the whole like, the safe is fucking nonsense. I find it, like, fun as hell to watch. You're like, this is crazy, and there's so much death and destruction, but boy, is this fun. So, like,
yeah. The safe bit's amazing. I can't wait to get to that.
Yeah, like, that is just, like, a ton of nonsense, but it's great. I love the safe bit. So, yeah, I just think, we're talking about what we liked. So, yeah, the one race in the middle, I found that enjoyable. God, the villain is so boring in this movie. I can't think. I keep coming with bad things because I'm trying to go to each thing. I'm like, well, how's the villain? How's the there's no love interest at all, right? It's
there's kind of sort of Gal Gadot.
Yeah, and you get Mia kind of and Brian's.
She yells at him.
That was one of my favorite things in this movie, which is that when Brian and Dom finally, like, make up and decide they're friends again, and, like, they're fixing up a car together, Brian just wordlessly leaves for a little while to go fuck Dom's sister.
Yeah, it was great. So, like, yeah, I think it is. You're right, though. I mean, there's not the love interest that the other ones have. I think, like, some of them seem to commit more to just the the idea of having one, and this one like doesn't. I think the Gal Gadot thing is so weird. What do you think?
It also has the first. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt, but I just remembered. It also has the first of, what is it, 4 or 5 teases of Han saying he's going to go to Tokyo next.
Oh yeah, so good, so good. He hears there's crazy things happening in Tokyo eventually.
We'll get there. We'll get not I meant like we'll get there. The podcast, like we'll get there to Tokyo. Han keeps saying,
yeah.
We've already been there in the podcast.
That's true. We have been there.
And we'll get to more of him saying it, too. I can't wait. I think the next one is the worst one, because then they also don't commit to it, kind of. I think this one, at least, it's like, I don't know. This movie's so weird. It feels like, to me, and I don't think this is what happened, but it feels like this movie was several scripts combined into one script. Because there are a lot of things that happen where you're like, oh, okay, so this is the movie then. And then that's also not the movie. Like, especially Han and the new crew. They're introducing crew members that they aren't introducing. Like, they're just like, this is a crew member, and it's seemingly supposed to be a character, and that character will show up later. And it's just like, well, why was that guy there at all? And I don't have an answer.
I took a somewhat weird path with this franchise where the first one I watched was 5. So
it's a great first one.
For me, there's been a lot of like, well, there's nothing with these characters here, but I assume they were established earlier on, so my affection for them previously is supposed to carry me through. And then it turns out for half of them, the answer is like, no, they've always been nothing.
Yeah. I mean, it's funny because there's one thing about one of them that I'm like, oh, right. That's what the deal is with this one. But there are some, like Gal Gadot, that specifically, that I'm like, what was the deal with her? What were they doing? By the way, I do want to mention, so for people, like, we kind of explained the plot, and we explained Letty's untimely death. So do you guys remember why that happened in the real world?
Oh, no.
Oh, no, I don't. Yeah.
She got a bunch of DUIs.
Oh, really?
Went to jail, not for very long, but I think Lost fired her for that. And I remember hearing at the time that she also was getting written out of the Fast and Furious movies because you can't have DUIs and be in the car racing movie.
Right? Yeah, it's a little.
And when that comes into focus, a lot of the rest of it kind of does make sense because it's like, yeah, well, what was Gal Gadot doing? Well, she's kind of filling in for Letty a little bit in terms of like creating sexual tension, but we don't want to commit to it because we had to kill Letty, so we can't like make it a real thing. We just have to like. It's almost like there's a certain amount of quota that needs to be filled of just like characters lusting after Vin Diesel.
Well, yeah, because he has to seem so charming and handsome, and oh my god, every guy wants to be him, every girl wants to be with him. It's like that's him, right?
And every Corona wants to be inside of him.
Yeah, it's inside so badly.
It is funny that they have him be so openly disinterested in Gal Gadot. Like, they knew, even at the time, well, we're going to bring her back eventually. So, you know.
Yeah.
We got to make sure he's open.
That is what it feels like. And it's so funny because they do it again in the next one and again in the 6th one. Yeah. And then the movies do pick up from, like, scratch and go, yeah, oh, right. Obviously, Letty's back. So, you know. We're not still together.
I was going to say, in the next one, he goes for it, though. They do end up together. Yeah. But then when Letty comes back, it's like, okay, but, you know, you're not actually that meaningful to me, so, you know.
Yeah, it's like that's in his vows, kind of, as a boyfriend or husband or whatever. Father, I guess, because he's a father now. But the idea that it's like, I will stay with you forever unless Letty comes back from the dead somehow. Then... we both agree that it is over, and it will be over that day with, like, just a nod. Like,
yeah, we're not even going to talk about it.
Yeah. You have to say it, in fact, to make me look like the good guy in this situation. And you know, so she does. But, I think Letty being killed off in this movie, which I think is the right move if she's getting DUIs, like, probably not great to have your car movie represented in that way. But her being killed off in this movie, I do think kind of upset what might have been a different movie. Like, it makes Gal Gadot make a little bit more sense because maybe she was supposed to flirt with Brian instead or something. Like, I can see different versions of this script where Dom and Letty are together, but that Dom isn't with Letty, and it's like, well, obviously Dom has to be the flirting one, so he gets Gal Gadot now. Because they do think Brian's arc makes more sense if he's getting attention from some, whatever she is. I'm still not completely sure what her job description is.
Just crime person?
Yeah. Lady. Tall lady.
She vets all of the racers.
Poor.
I think that's just right. Like an administrative assistant, but for crime.
Yeah.
But for crime, all right.
Right? Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, it's not called disorganized crime. You need somebody running the books, and
who's going to answer the emails?
Yeah, who's going to hold the auditions? It's got to be somebody. It is funny that they do that again. They did that in the second movie, and now it's like more open auditions for fucking racers.
Which they do, man, we'll get to it when that scene is, but they 1,000% don't even need particularly good drivers to do what they need them for.
That's true.
Well, it's about loyalty, right? It's about it's not about how fast you are. It's about how loyal.
Well, it's not about loyalty, though.
And you know what? In two had the same problem. 2 also was like, we need drivers, and it's like, well, but if everything goes right, they'll just be regular drivers. Like, our guys that we already have can do this job. So, like, it's funny how much these car movies have to come up with excuses for the cars to be in it, and they're so unimportant to the plot.
Well, it's like everything has to go wrong, right? That's
It's this movie's a mess. What did you guys think of? So Dom is back, baby.
Yeah.
What did you think of him? Did you like Vincent
same.
Diesel, Mark Sinclair, as it were?
I know he's never my favorite part of these movies, just in general. I must say, he's just there to be muscle man and is very ineffectual, which is fine, by the way. Like, I'm not knocking the movies for having that type of person in the movie. I get it. Like we know what's going on.
I don't think Vin Diesel is that type of person. I'm not
really?
quite sure what he is. Yeah, or what he thinks he is. I think these movies think he is like your Tom Cruise or like handsome muscle man.
Well,
you know
he's
movies,
Impossible Man.
They think he's like Cash or Tango. I can't remember. But like, Brian is this. Yeah, whichever one is Sylvester Stallone. Or he's not Sylvester Stallone. He's the other one. But like Brian is this nerd suit who won't let anybody get away with anything, and he's just this cool man of the people. He has so much more. In any other movie, he would just be like the muscle, like the big strong guy. But he has to be like the plot has to revolve around him and his emotions and stuff, and it's wild.
Oh man, they should have gotten him to play Strong Guy in New Mutants.
Oh my god, dude!
Oh yeah!
Don't even talk to me about Strong Guy today. They're doing some sort of like voting to see who gets in the next X-Men team on the comics, and it's like a bunch of characters we've seen a million times, and then Strong Guy, and like no one gives a shit about Strong Guy at least on Reddit posts because they haven't started the voting yet. But everybody, and to be fair, I like Armor. I think Armor's a fun character. I don't really have any personal affinity to Marrow. But man, I'd love more Strong Guy. But anyway, I mean, he's these characters do turn into just like he's the perfect example of a disproportional muscle man when he has teeny tiny legs and a big giant body. So you can easily throw him into one of these. Yeah, Dickens, what do you think of Dom?
I mean, Vin Diesel is the same in every single movie he's in. Not even just every single one of these, just every single movie that has Vin Diesel in it. He is big, he is strong, he mumbles, he says threatening things and then does action scenes. It's, either you like Vin Diesel or you don't. There's no like varied performance where you're like, oh, he was pretty good in this one, but I mean that other one, he didn't do a great job. It's just... I don't know. It's fine. I don't think he's the problem necessarily, but I do think the heavier we lean on his like internal life, the weaker the movies are, because he is not good at conveying that. And this movie is very, very much leaning on the internal life of Dom. So,
yeah, I'll be honest. I kind of liked him in this. I don't know why. I think his whole thing was just like scowling. And I think the romance with Gal Gadot that didn't exist was kind of funny in a way. That I do enjoy watching these movies and going like, what were his notes for this scene where they like just touch me and touch my shoulder and then I'll turn my head away to show that I am too much man for you. So like in that respect, I quite enjoyed his performance. But he has all the same problems he always has when it comes to everything he does, acting and stuff. What about Brian? Did we like Brian more this time around?
I feel like Brian at least puts in more effort to this whole acting thing. Like, not to shit on Vin Diesel, but like, I don't know. I've always felt that Paul Walker was, even though he only has one speed where it's like, you gotta listen to me, Dom. Like, at least I'm like, oh, well, he's like, giving it his all. And I appreciate that. So, yeah, I thought he's like, again, the same speed in this movie as he is for most movies. So, nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, he's I'm on the record of I don't find him especially charming, but he's like a replacement level leading man type, which means he's fine.
Yeah, I think he's I agree. I think he's fine in this as well. I think he's good. Him and Vin Diesel, I do think, have chemistry in a crazy way. Like, in a way that should never work. I do think having both of them on screen is something. Is it worth the whole movie? Probably not. But there's parts where they're together where I do enjoy myself, and I want to give them a little bit of credit for that. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of it for main characters, which is bizarre.
Sorry, I just wanted to say like one quick note on Paul Walker before I forget. The franchise is lesser without him in it. Like I stand firm by that. Like, sure. I think there was a drop off, when unfortunately after he passed away. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's a bummer that he died. Yeah. I think that's a really hard stance you're taking, DJ. It's very brave.
Yeah, I know, right?
To say that you didn't like it when the celebrity died. No, I know what you mean though. It is like these movies, and especially 8, where you start to kind of see the stretching at the seams of like, this is where Paul Walker would have done something interesting.
Yeah.
And instead, Clint Eastwood's son is doing it. Yeah, and that's not good. Yeah, I mean, I think I've always mostly liked him, and I think he's fine in this one as well. I think he's just as good in this as he usually is. I don't think they give him, anything all that complicated to do. So it isn't, insanely difficult for him. I think like this movie as the transition from like him and Dom hating each other to being best friends, I don't buy at all. That's, I'd say, where it loses me. Even though they have chemistry, their arc is very, I don't know, kind of nothing for me.
Yeah, I think that's fair.
But
it turns on a dime for like no reason.
Yeah, and like these movies are about the cars, but also I think the reason that they work when they work is stuff like that. So it's a shame when it doesn't happen. Speaking of the cars, I don't know. This movie has a bad guy. Is a bad guy. Who is that?
Oh God, Delgado? Is it Delgado?
Well,
Arturo Braga.
Yeah, it was Braga, but
Braga.
Also it's some. Well, it's two guys. We
don't know which one is his. I guess Arturo Braga must be his real name because that's where they find him in the database later.
Yeah,
and the
that's
other
right.
name is the fake one, even though the fake name is Mexican and the real name is Portuguese, and he's apparently from Mexico. So I don't know.
Yeah. It's weird. This movie. I mean, do you think they just wanted to go to Mexico instead? Like they wrote it and they were like, it'd be fun if they go to Mexico, and they're like, he's Portuguese name, and like, nobody cares.
Yeah, come on.
What do you think this is?
Gonna be some podcast that talks about how that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Ask us if we care.
Do we care?
I mean, care? No. I mean, listen, the podcast is called Mostly Nitpicking, and so I'm going to point out that this Mexican drug lord has a Portuguese name.
Oh, no, nothing wrong with that. That is the good stuff. That's what the people come here for. That and, I don't know, bad impressions. What do people like? Write in the comments.
Yeah, what do you like about our podcast?
What you're here for. Put it in, put it in reviews. We'll read reviews from now on. I know some podcasts do that, and it's kind of fun.
I like if you have a question and you leave a 5-star review, we'll read the question.
There you
but only
go.
Leave a 5-star review. Like I like the bribe.
That's a great idea.
If you leave a 5-star review and it makes me laugh, then you get to get read on the podcast.
Yeah.
That's my standard.
But only 5-star reviews. None of this like 3 or 4-star shit.
Speaking of 5 stars, let's talk about the 5 stars in the first scene. We got a whole new crew, baby. This like the 8th one, I think, or I don't know. They all blend together. Starts in media res. We are in the middle of an action scene already in progress.
Yeah, well, 5
the
starts
next
like
one
this.
starts this way, and also
well, how does 5 start?
The end of this movie is how 5 starts.
It starts with the last scene in this movie.
Yeah, that's right. But we got a new crew, guys. Who's in the crew this one?
All right, we got Mia. Mia's like part of the crew now, right?
Nope, incorrect.
Wait, really?
Not at the start of this movie.
Oh,
no.
damn it! That's the end of this movie. Damn it!
I'm not positive about that. Isn't she driving one of the cars in this scene?
No,
that's Letty.
She's not. It's Letty. Letty gets replaced with Mia basically at the end of this movie.
Interesting.
In terms of like crew. Oh god, that's how forgettable this stupid movie is. Ugh.
Well,
how
also,
weird this
I mean,
opening scene is.
besides Dom and Letty, none of these characters show up past this scene for longer than like 5 seconds.
Yeah, so it's Dom, Letty, Han,
Yep.
and then the brothers whose names I can never remember.
Tweedledee and Tweedledum.
What the fuck is their name?
Tego, Leo, and Rico Santos.
Yeah.
Oh, and there is another girl, I guess, because according to this
Yeah.
Wikipedia summary, there's also someone named Kara there, who I
It
have
is
literally
the girl that Han
zero,
is kind of with.
I have zero memory of
Oh yeah,
She like gets on a car too. She's got like an exciting moment. I think.
Yeah.
She's the first one to move to like what does she do? I don't remember. She's involved in. Oh, she's in Han's car and she like does the thing where they flick the little hook onto the gas truck. Anyway, let's explain this scene. DJ, could you set the scene?
Oh my goodness. Okay, so they're in we got like 3 or 4 cars basically are trailing this oil tanker, and we get our little funny banter. It's like, oh man, it's wish we were robbing a bank, like get some money. It's like, well, down here, this is money, liquid gold or whatever. I forget what they say. They're doing their little banter, and it's like, oh, but those banks don't move, ha 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 ha. So they're basically trying to do this setup where they're hooking, like via a hitch from a truck, onto the end of one of like the gas tanker ends, like a multi tank thing, and then Letty gets up on it, freezes it, hits it with a hammer, and then it goes free, so the truck can just whisk it away. And then they do that until they get caught, basically. It's a bananas heist. I don't know how they thought this was the easiest way to get money. You figure you could steal it while it's docked or something like that. I guess they're the most dangerous people with cars, but still, this seems a bit excessive, if not stupid. But hey, what's life without taking some risks?
Movies
right.
are about being
cool.
excessive and stupid. Yeah, it's a reasonably cool idea.
It almost works, and there's all kinds of she's gonna fall off of the thing, and and then this one's gonna fall off the thing and stuff. So yeah, I think she's okay.
It runs into the same problem that they did in the first one, which is it turns out that if you try to non-violently rob truck drivers, they instantly become overtaken with a murderous rage.
Yeah. I mean, this truck driver was very nice. He had a lizard or an iguana or whatever.
Yeah.
Which he liked, and that was his deal.
Yeah, but anyone who tries to rob from a truck driver in this universe, they just, thirst for their blood.
And they all have guns. They 100% of the time have a gun. Which I don't know how true that is or isn't, but you'd think someone would forget it. Leave it at home, oh, my gun!
I mean,
you'd think with how overworked and not particularly well-paid truck drivers are, they'd be like, I'm not being paid enough to do a murder. I'm not... Just take it. I'm not going to fight you.
It's true. What do I care? It's not mine.
Maybe it is his. Maybe he's like a gasoline salesman, door to door, in Always Sunny, and he's just going from town to town, and this is his whole thing. I don't know. I mean, they are just stealing gas and it's like a big to do. It's a lot of work.
It's liquid gold.
What do they do with it?
I assume sell it, right?
To who?
Sell it for, I don't know.
Gas station?
Whoever they sell it to, it must be for a comically low price, because
Yeah.
the stack of bills he hands to everyone as their cut, and the next scene is like really little for how much oil they stole.
I was gonna say, like, does Vin Diesel get like a super big cut for putting the heist together? Like, my goodness.
He ends up a single stack of, it's a decently sized stack, but it's a single stack of bills.
It might be like $5,000, which for that, like, get out of here, man. It's pretty funny how small it is.
By the way, we didn't. I don't think we talked about this. I mean, Diggins, you mentioned them. The two brothers. Are
they actually brothers? Because their names are different.
Well, so what are their names? Say their names one more time.
Tego Leo and Rico Santos.
Is that their names?
Unless they're unless one of them is Kara. Those are the only guys here in this list of people on this heist that I don't recognize.
So on the IMDb summary, it's different. I'm 90% sure this is the guy this is supposed to be. So one of their names... What the heck? Yeah. Okay, wait. So is one of them named Tego Calderon?
Yeah, Tego. That was one of the names Diggins said. Right?
Yeah.
I said Tego Leo.
Okay, so that's fine. So, like, on the IMDb page, this is very strange to me, but yeah, this makes sense. So you got, like, Dominic Toretto is the name of the character. Vin Diesel is the name of the actor, right? Like, you'd expect in one of these. That guy is named Tego Calderon in real life, and his character's named Tego. The other one is named Don Omar in real life, and he's like a guy. He's like a musician.
Okay.
And he is named on the IMDb page Don Omar, as that is the name of his character. I'm triple checking to make sure it's the same guy, but I'm pretty sure it is. And that's weird.
Yeah, it's super weird. Interesting choice by them to give consistent names there.
At the official Fast and Furious character page, and the character played by Don Omar is named Rico Santos.
They gotta fix that on the IMDb page. But yeah, Don Omar is the guy that he does music for these occasionally, although not the one that we all like not the one song. Not either of the songs we like, or any. So there's 3, 4, I guess, if you count the one Lil Wayne did, Very Sad. But then there's 3. There's the one from Tokyo Drift by the Teriyaki Boys. That song is great. Mm-hmm. There's Too Fast, Too Furious by Ludacris, right?
Yep.
And then the 7th one, or 6th one?
No, the 6th one, yeah. It's like, that's the
one shot, everything right.
Yeah, the 2 Chainz, I think, is on that one. Yeah.
So Don Omar, I think, did the song for this one and maybe the next one. And he's the guy that does that song. I'm going to spell it, or I'm going to pronounce it wrong, but it's called Danza Kuduro, or Kuduro. You've heard it before.
Sure.
It's like, right? So he is a guy, and they do this in the Fast and Furious movies from time to time, where they'll just cast a musician actor and make him act. I want to say Daddy Yankee's in one of these. We already kind of talked about him. Ludacris, this is kind of where he got his start. But yeah, the IMDb page for this calls that character Don Omar. Maybe in this universe, that's his secret identity, like Hannah Montana, Miley Cyrus kind of situation or whatever. Also, does it say what Han's name is? Because I don't think we've ever talked about this. Is that right?
Lue?
I was under the impression that his character's name is technically... Oh, okay. So, Han Lu, also known by his alias Han Solo. Seouloh. That is his character's actual name, is Han Solo.
Oh, God, really?
Yep, that's a fact about these movies. Anyway, yeah, they do this thing. They do a big heist, and it goes wrong, but they all survive, and I guess they get some of the gas, but a lot of it explodes. And then they go home, and they go to a big party, which I guess is what you do after you steal a lot of gas.
Yeah, you got to celebrate your victory. You know, what's the point of doing big heists if you're not going to, celebrate? With the family.
With the family. And Han tells Vin Diesel, hey, by the way, they know, like, they're looking for us because we keep doing crimes. And Vin Diesel says, you should leave because you're not in this movie. And then takes his wad of cash and leaves. And that's like, that.
And he says, I'm going to go to Tokyo. And you're like, and Dom says, really? He's like, no, I'm going to put it off for like 4 movies.
Yeah. He's like, it's like the Truman Show. Every couple of times, he'll like get on the bridge to Tokyo, and then it'll be like, actually, there's a big, the stampede of lions. You can't come through to Tokyo today. And he's like, all right, I guess I'll go to Brazil. So Dom is like, there's too much heat. We gotta go. We can't be doing this. And he goes to talk to Letty, who's like all sad on the beach. And what does he do?
Oh God.
He leaves in the middle of the night with nothing but a pile of cash on the nightstand,
and a cross,
and a cross.
Little cross.
The cross. It's the cross.
Yeah.
It's
so
iconic.
That's the first like 15 minutes of the movie. That's the setup for this movie.
Why does he leave? What's his pretense for leaving? It's too dangerous.
He says it's too dangerous. I want to point out that Letty raises an extremely good point where she's like, what are you talking about? It is no more dangerous now than it has been like every second we've been together since you ran from the feds. Like, why are you suddenly deciding at this moment it's too dangerous? And he's just like, no, Letty, it's too dangerous. And like, that's it. No one ever addresses her extremely salient point.
Wow.
I do think that's weird, especially because like their life is dangerous, but it's not like, I don't know. I don't understand what I don't understand about Don. Oh, I didn't even realize that. You got Don and Han. Maybe that's why it was like people keep getting our names confused. I can't hear, especially when I'm on top of a car and like you're on top of a car and we're talking to each other through walkie-talkies. I don't know who's talking to Don and who's talking to Han. Anyway, he's like, there's no, this is that one last big score kind of thing where I'm like, oh man, okay, so this is what he wants. He's just like, I'm going to keep doing crimes so I can have more parties, I guess. And I would stop doing crimes because I want to be with you so badly, but I really want to have parties. So I'm not going to stop. So I guess the only way we could solve this problem is have you just leave, like, get out of my life forever.
Also,
I don't like you anyway.
The premise is also that the FBI has been hot on his tail for these past 5 years, which I find absurd, since, again, he's just like, he stole a bunch of DVD players, whatever. He's like a petty thief. Like, I think the FBI would have stopped giving a shit a long time ago.
Well, and also, if the FBI is hot on his tail, she's also doing the crime. She's not his girlfriend.
She's done every single thing he did.
She's not sitting at home waiting for him to come home, and he's like, I can't be with you anymore. Yeah, she's definitely gonna get. It's not like she could go back to L.A. and just live a normal life, and the FBI's like, what up? Are you with Dom anymore? And she'll be like, no, he left. And they'll be like, all right, about your business then. Have a nice day. Like, yeah, it's so
they might be more interested in her as a way to get to Dom if they're so single-mindedly focused on this guy who stole a bunch of DVD players.
And all the rest of them would too, all of his enemies, because Dom makes lots and lots of enemies all the time. He's always double-crossing drug lords and stuff.
Like the truck drivers union. They're fucking dead.
The ASPCA for iguana murder and like all the...
No, that iguana's fine.
That's true. Iguana survives.
Yeah. The guy took the iguana with him when he hopped out. You could see him moving at the last shot of them. The iguana's fine.
Mm-hmm. But how many iguanas did they murder off screen in previous heists? Probably many. Yeah, I mean, now that changes things. We go from that to Brian, who is Jason Bourne. It turns into a Paul Greengrass movie for a couple of minutes, and he is doing busting of drug lords as well.
Well, it's important to bust drug lords.
You gotta. Otherwise, then other stuff happens, you know?
Yeah, it'd be chaos.
Yeah. You don't want the drug lords to get away. And they do that thing where he went around, like he does lots of damage, and the cops are like, you destroyed a whole city block, Brian O'Connor. Like, it's weird because everyone's always mad at him, but I don't quite think he deserves their anger.
It's also like, man, okay, this isn't a problem with this movie specifically. This is a problem with every cop story that's ever been told in the history of time. But it's really funny how in stories it's like the higher ups are always on your ass. Don't be a cowboy cop out there doing illegal shit you're not supposed to do, but doing that illegal shit's the only way to get things done. When really it's the exact opposite in real life, where it's like nobody will stop doing illegal shit, but like if you stop doing illegal shit, you would be doing a much better job.
Yeah, it's extra strange because like in these movies, the illegal stuff that they do, like in these movies, Brian Toretto will eventually go like team up with Dom to just do crimes and stuff. And it's strange because
I like the implication there that Brian is going to take Mia's name when they get married.
That's a good point. But yeah, they like go and do stuff together, and it's like, we're going to go do crimes. And it's like, well, why? Is it because all the cops were mean to you? Because they are really mean to him. And especially, what's his name? Shea Wiggum's character is very mean to him for like no reason. And it's almost like the movie knows how stupid their relationship is and it's just like, screw it, it's a cop movie. I don't know. They yell at each other about damage and stuff.
I gotta say, I do love the end of this scene. Because he's chasing, Brian is trying to take down this drug lord, and he's chasing this random dude. We never find out who he is or what he does or why he would know anything, but apparently he's Brian's best lead on how to find this Arturo Braga that they're after. And after big parkour action scene where he jumps out of a window and tackles this guy off a roof onto a car, the guy's like, David Park's who you want. And then later we see him like in his FBI team meeting, and he says like, I got a lead, it's David Park. And the boss man goes, oh, just a name? Like, what else you got for me? And he's like, I didn't ask any follow-up questions, sorry boss. He said David Park, and I was like, cool, that's good, go right ahead, get out of here.
Yeah, there's probably not more than one of those in LA.
Well, he makes that comment. It's like, I could throw like a chicken wing out a window and hit 20 David Parks or something like that.
That's right.
And then didn't the lady correct her about, like, because he was being like...
L.A. has a very large Chinese population, like many large cities in California, but David Park is a Korean last name.
I was going to say,
right.
That's what she was pointing out.
Yeah, stay woke, bruh. Yeah, fucking so-and-so.
But then... The whole thing is interrupted with news. It turns out Letty's dead. And we go to their funeral.
Untimely death.
That's true. Untimely death.
I want to point out, the way we find this information out is Dom gets a call and Mia's like, Dom, Letty's dead. We don't see anything. Yep. There's no built up. Like, that's it. We just cut to Dom on this phone call.
We don't see anything yet. We'll get Dom detective vision later.
Oh, yeah, that's going to be great. But do you guys remember what the funeral looks like?
It's like, vaguely, but no.
It looks like a funeral, doesn't it?
It does, right? Except then you pan out a little bit, and it's just like 4 ridiculous-looking race cars all lined up like they drove straight from race to funeral. It's so silly. It's how she would have wanted
brand. It. Yeah, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, they only have one car, right? And then, like, it's not like they all dressed like they were also going to race wars after this. Why didn't they take nicer cars? I don't know. I'm not in charge. And Brian's like, I gotta go to the funeral. Partially because he wants to see Mia, but also partially because Dom might be there, and he was, but he's like really far away.
Like the feds were just like, we're just gonna be so obtuse about how we're gonna just be at the funeral. Just show up, cars and suits, no problem.
Yeah, and like big giant camera with humongous lens. You know, like I feel like I see that in all the stakeouty movies. I'm like, that can't work. People got to see that from far away and go, oh, it's the cops. I don't know. I'm not a cop. If I was, I'd have to tell you. But then...
That's true.
The law.
It's the law.
And as we all know, cops always follow the law.
Yeah. If they don't, they get a stern talking to. And then Dom goes to visit the site of the crash.
Yep.
DJ, you seemed like you wanted to describe this scene. Let's hear it.
It's just so silly, right? So Mia's there, and I think she tries to talk him out of, like, going. It's like, there's nothing you could do. You can't bring her back. But he's like, I gotta see it. I gotta see it. So they're at the crash site, and... there's, like, tire treads and I guess some, like, other things on the ground that
it's like some sort of yellow paint or oil or something.
Yeah, and, like, he knows what that means. I can't remember what that means. But anyway, so he's just standing there, and he's visualizing, like, exactly what happened. Like, Letty was driving, and then someone chased her, and then caused her car to flip multiple times, and then her car's flipped over, she drags herself out all cutted and bloodied up, and then a guy gets, I think it's like a mysterious figure, gets out of the car, and then shoots her, and the car explodes. And he sees all of this. He sees all of it.
Well, because he can't, with his detective vision, divine the identity of the guy,
Right.
The killer is, like, cloaked in CGI shadow at this point.
But he knows it's a big, strong guy with a sleeveless
Right.
shirt. Like, of course.
It's
he's
not
dead
like,
on.
It's not like it was like a 5'2", 100-pound gymnast, right? Like,
Right,
he
well,
didn't
that's
guess
kind of-
it was...
That's kind of what you're thinking. By the end, you're like, oh, it's going to be Gal Gadot or something. He was wrong.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
no, it's that guy. It's exactly what that guy looks like in Shadow. It's so funny. He's like, do you think this was before Sherlock? So where do you think they got this idea from?
Oh my god, I have no idea.
Who
'Cause
were
that's a
they
good
ripping
point.
off here?
Well, when did Arkham Asylum come out?
I was thinking that, yeah.
Well, we were in college, maybe like a little bit before that. So like maybe.
Let's see.
But was that in a movie?
2009, same year.
Was
So,
there a movie
probably
that
not.
did this or something? Or did they do this and then Sherlock was like, oh my god, that's what we need in our show?
Oh, wait. Sherlock is even older than this.
Oh, it
stuff.
is?
I remember watching that in high school.
Oh, okay. Well, then there you go. That's probably what happened then.
Or, no, 2010?
Oh.
Why are my memories fake?
Well, maybe
Well,
is that when
they
it
say-
premiered in the U.S., maybe?
Well, they say that. They say memory's very
2010.
fallible. Like, just memories are historically unreliable. So
Yeah.
Yeah. I guess I just
Unless
thought
you're
it was high
dumb.
school, but it was really college.
Our college was kind of like high school.
right?
To be honest. We took it pretty seriously.
Yeah. A lot of those- we went to parties all the time. We looked like we were 30, so very much like high school.
Yeah.
If the movies tell me anything.
Now, Dom learns this information, and he's like, it's this guy's car. And he goes to do his own. He's going to give street justice to this guy.
Oh yeah, so he divines from this that there's only one guy who sells the kind of fuel or whatever that was used for this kind of car. One
that
guy
makes
in
that
all of
yellow
LA.
paint. Yeah.
Yeah,
I-
there's only one guy in
I-
all of LA.
I love how Dom is a better detective than the entire FBI.
Right?
Well, that's the street knowledge. How would the FBI know there's only one guy who sells?
Isn't that why
shit,
they have
right?
Brian? Isn't that his whole thing?
I don't know, because even in the second one, they don't seem to want him to be like. It's so weird the way Brian works in these. The like solution is so clearly okay. Well, you're gonna go undercover then as a street racer, and he always has to convince the higher ups that this is a good idea. And it's like, well, why do you keep this guy around? I guess it's because he can chase guys through rooftops and stuff, but it almost seems like you would only call him for stuff like this. You'd be like, oh, street racing, let's get Brian O'Connor on the phone. What does he do normally? What's a day in the life of Brian O'Connor when
Paperwork.
it's not a Fast and Furious movie?
Yeah, right. Probably use paperwork.
Parking tickets? Maybe.
It's not good. Yeah, right, so but it's like funny because even in this, it's like, oh, we need a street racer. O'Connor, you're up. Like
Yeah.
it's just like that's
Yeah.
this guy's thing.
That's true. So now we've kind of got to the plot, kind of. All the characters are going to start meeting. I mean, now Jordana Brewster is going to hang out with Paul Walker and like yelling at him because he's not doing a great job.
The FBI take Mia in because I guess they're still really hung up on this DVD player thief. But Brian kind of just lets her out, and then they go get coffee, and she yells at him for not participating in their crimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I mean, he did lie about being cool with crimes, so would you not also be upset if that had happened to you? Yeah. I understand that's the point of an undercover cop, but you could be upset at him.
I mean, I do understand why she's upset because, you know, he had to flee the country because Dom had to flee the country because of him and everything. And, like, you, even if she was not down with the crimes, you know, you're still not happy that happened.
And, like, she and him had, like, a romantic thing. So it's like, I wanted to have sex with you. And if we could really, you know, if we could even get close to that situation again, we're going to go right for it. But yeah, then you left.
Totally missed the suave line though. He just completely beefed it.
Which one was that? I can't remember.
Yeah, what would that be?
Well, after he apologized, he says, like, man, it was really hard for me to do that. I'm sorry. You know, I do feel bad about it. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. It was so hard for you to betray my brother and pretend you loved me. And he should have went, I wasn't pretending to love you. But he doesn't, because he's a fool.
I mean, he is a fool.
I thought you were going to go with, that wasn't the only thing that was hard.
I did think that, too. That was in the script. Vin Diesel wrote that in the pages that day, and Paul Walker was just like, I'm not going to say it. If I say it, it's this movie. So he kept his mouth shut, which was smart. So Dom does some tortures, and not like tortures, but he shakes some people down, and eventually
quite
all
literally.
The guys... Yeah, he almost kills that guy. And that's a not fun scene, kind of fun. I don't know. Dom in this movie is Batman, pretty much. And it's fine. He's like, I don't think he's like an amazing actor, but I think this is the extent of what he can do well.
What level of murdering Batman is he? Like, is he Batman v Superman Batman? Is he like Dark Knight Batman? Like, how much murdering are we talking?
Oh, I guess he's Batman v Superman Batman because he kills that one guy. But at least in the beginning...
Point, I would say at this point he's Batman Begins Batman, who's willing to drop a guy off a roof and break his shins, but doesn't actually kill anyone.
That's exactly it.
I mean, Batman Begins Batman's willing to kill a whole like monastery of ninjas, but you know,
that's true.
Fuck those people, am I right?
Yeah, he kills a lot of people in that movie.
He kills so many people.
But then we're finally 30 minutes in, which isn't a lot, honestly, like because we did get that big action sequence in the beginning, and there's like been a smattering of little chases and stuff. We're at a race. We're at a street race.
Let's go.
Who's here?
Yeah.
Who do our wandering eyes does appear?
All right,
Dwight.
so
White. What the fuck is this character, Steele?
I love him.
What is he? What are they going for? I still can't figure it out.
I would say, given what we learn about him after the race, I think he is an average representative member of that community.
That makes sense. Like, I guess, was that a 2009 type? Like, is that like...
Well, Quentin Tarantino's body of work goes back to the 90s, Nando, so at least that long.
Yeah, right. He's a really... Can you describe him to the audience? Because he is... Like, this movie has a lot of new characters and stuff, but a lot of them are pretty, like, tame compared to, like, your Tokyo Drift characters or your even, like, your Too Fast, Too Furious characters where, like, where all the street racers were, like, Speed Racer, where they all have, like, a gimmick and a weird look. I think he's the only one that really gets that completely in this movie.
Yeah.
And, so can you explain that, dude?
Imagine a young Kid Rock. You know, long, unkempt blonde hair. I think he's wearing some kind of hat, right?
I think he's wearing a cowboy hat or something.
Oh,
yeah. Just like the
American
worst,
attire.
wispiest facial hair you can imagine. Has two ladies hanging off his arm for some inexplicable reason. Money, I guess.
They love Daddy Dwight. Daddy Dwight, baby.
He speaks entirely in the third person.
Yep.
And later, in the only other scene in this movie he's in, we see him filming these ladies in what is not the last scene of this movie of fetishizing women making out.
My God. Sorry, continue.
He's filming them. Did you just remember this scene? Is that why you said that?
Yeah.
I kind of am remembering it, but I kind of want to... I'm trying to find it in my... Anyway, go on.
But while he is filming them, he's telling he's like, take off your shoes, and like takes off one of their shoes and just goes to fucking town on her foot. Just like, we see way more of this than I was comfortable with.
Yeah, he really did love the shoes. That was the Quentin Tarantino. I thought you just meant like, I thought when you meant Quentin Tarantino, you just meant like white guy who thinks he can go to the cookout kind of thing. Like he's just like, yeah, I mean, I'm one of everybody here. But
there's that too. But no, I meant men who love feet.
Yeah, that's fair. He kind of looks like the not the villain from the chess show, but that kid who shows up halfway through the chess show. I don't remember his name. What was that show called? Queen's Gambit?
Queen's Gambit?
Yeah.
It's kind of like that kid.
Queen's Gambit.
Yeah. But like a little older, kind of a Guy Pearce looking dude. But yeah, and then if I had the timestamp, I unfortunately don't have it in front of me. But if you're gonna watch this movie, I would very strenuously warn you. Like, what is it, like 36 minutes in or something? There is a full on scene of a man just licking toes. It's sucking on them, and it's like we see so much more of it than I needed. It's like 45 minutes into the movie, so because we're about 30 minutes into the movie, 35 minutes in now, but we're not gonna do we're gonna do the race, but then right after that they get on this guy's case, but yeah, he is there. We also this is where we meet Gal Gadot, or was she in an earlier scene? I can't remember.
No, this is when we meet.
She's definitely maybe and she is, like we're saying, kind of the. Like, I don't know.
She's an administrative assistant. She's got a tablet, and, that's it. She's got a tablet. She's there to take your info.
She's a crime facilitator. She facilitates crime.
Yeah. And
that'd be good for your resume.
This is, like, her first movie besides... Her first, like, big movie, I guess. I know she was in some things, previously. But, this is, like, her big break. And she's fine in this. Right?
I think she serves her purpose.
Yeah.
I get what they're going for, and she does it.
And she's like, I mean, the problem with her in this is that besides being the crime facilitator tablet lady, she is also, like, lusting after Dom, and it's so weird.
Oh, yeah.
And we
she
get
wants
a little bit of it in
down.
the beginning, but it gets so much worse.
Yeah.
She wants to take off his shoes.
Oh, yeah.
He won't let her. He's got too much honor for that.
Well, there's that whole dead girlfriend,
yeah.
But then still a gentleman at the end of the day.
She introduces them all, takes them all up to the Top Golf to meet the other guy from the seventh one of these, who I couldn't remember was even in this. And I remember watching the seventh movie being like, where did we meet him? And it's here. And
wait, he's in the seventh movie?
No, you're thinking of the sixth one.
He's in the sixth
one's the one with
the sixth one. Yeah, you're right.
When Brian goes to jail, needlessly.
He has like that really weird jail detour, and it's like, what the fuck are we doing here? And it's just so we can see this guy again. And I remember, like, I've seen all these movies, and still I was like, who is that guy? They think he's important, but I've never seen him before. He's an actor. I don't know. I'm trying to find the IMDb page. He's in a lot of stuff. He's one of those kind of faces.
The actor is John Ortiz. The character, as we're introduced to him, is Ramon Campos.
Yes, that's right. He is. He people may recognize him from a show called Togetherness. A show called Luck.
Might remember him from the movie Bumblebee.
Oh,
what's he in Bumblebee?
He's Dr. Powell. I don't know who
that
is.
You're right.
But that's what he's listed as.
He's the nerd who's like, we gotta help the Decepticons. And John Cena's like, I'm a big, tough military guy, and you're a nerd. Fuck off. Do you remember that? He's
I
the
do,
one,
yeah.
He's in other things. He's in American Gangster, Silver Linings Playbook, Kong Skull Island. So, yeah, he gets around. He's in that stupid Cloverfield Paradox, the one in space.
Yeah, that one's so dumb.
It's the worst. Oh, my God, I hate that movie. But it's kind of funny.
I kind of like it for being dumb, but it's not very good.
Yeah, same. I think I was hoping after I hate it as a part of the Cloverfield universe, which is bullshit because it's not really. They just clap that name on at the end and we're like, hey, it's a Cloverfield movie, right? Everybody cool? But, following the good one, it's a real letdown. But yeah. So he is this Campo, I think we were saying his name is in this
Ramon Campos.
Ramon Campos at this point, and he is doing crimes.
Oh, he
shows up and is like, I'm not the boss of this organization. I don't know why you would say that.
Yeah, and even if the boss shows up, who cares? I'm the bad guy of the movie. You don't know the boss, right? So just treat me as if I am the boss.
Let's okay. So obviously the twist of this movie is it turns out he's Arturo Braga. We've telegraphed that so wildly. Can we individually go around and say the scene we realized that was going to be the case?
Oh God, I can't remember.
So all right, well I'll go first. And this is only because I'm so ingrained in this fucking universe, but it was the first scene where you see him because I'm like, oh yeah, in Fast 6, Brian goes to jail to see him. So, sorry.
There's
I
that.
know it ruins your game.
I do think he has a line. Someone has a line.
Oh, okay, so...
I know the exact point. Well, sorry, you go.
So, I think the line you're thinking of is, everyone in here would die for Arturo Braga. And Brian goes, even you? And he goes, especially me. Which doesn't make sense for being the guy. Like, I guess you would die for yourself? By definition?
Okay. My realization was around that point. Because it's like the next scene he's in, he's like in a bar with Dom and Brian. And they sits down with them. And he starts talking about Braga. He says something about like... You know, he's from the streets. And I was like, oh, this guy's Braga. Got it. Okay.
I mean, there's another... Remember, like, I remember him in the other one he's in, 6, that having a line that's like... Because it's like, they have to go to find him to get information about Shaw, I guess, or whatever. And he's his whole line is like, you don't find Shaw, Shaw finds you. You only find you if you want to be found. I want to say, and I can't remember what it is, there's a similar line in this where it's like, it just says some bullshit, like floaty bullshit about like how Braga is like mysterious. The only thing more mysterious than Braga's mystery, and you're just like, I don't know. There was that point where I was kind of suspicious of him, and when we got like to the hour mark, I'm like, well, there's no other character. It has to be either Gal Gadot's guy or him, and I wasn't convinced it wasn't Gal Gadot, but I knew it wasn't because of Giselle. But I think if I were just watching it for the first time, I'd be like, is it her? And she's like using him, but I don't know. But he's a golfing guy. Because the villain's got to be doing something. He can't be giving anyone his full attention. And he gives... What does he give everybody for the race?
Oh, see, you get like a little tablet that tells you where to go.
Yeah, right? He gives them all like a Garmin or whatever. like one of those TomTom GPSs. And I guess in 2009, were these like the cutting edge of technology or something?
Well, it was like he got a Garmin, but the Garmin had like a video game loaded onto it. It was like a special like high-tech Garmin.
That's true.
So yes, I guess.
Yeah, it's a really weird. His plan for the race is like, you'll get you have to do a race to figure out who's my favorite, and the way to win the race is you got to do what your GPS tells you is the route. And I don't know what this is testing in his mind of their metal or whatever.
Yeah,
because it's not.
As we later learn, what they're testing is, can you drive in a straight line really fast?
Yeah, really. Like
that's what we got to find out.
To be fair, that is how the finale of the movie goes. So,
yep.
At least they are consistent, right?
That is true. I mean, it's LA, so like, where are they gonna go? Yep. They're gonna make some left turns, I guess, eventually. But
so they're like, so we need a bunch of people to drive in a straight line really fast with absolutely no other traffic or distractions whatsoever. So the best way to test this is for you to have a race making a billion turns on busy LA streets. That is clearly the best demonstration of the skills we're looking for.
Right, and like he's like, I want the best drivers, and I want people that can do anything. And it's like everybody. There's all like chaos that usually comes with this. People are slamming into cars that are, on the road just normally or whatever. At one point, Brian gets kind of off course, and the GPS is giving him like that, like recalculating, and he does a different move where he like pulls an audible and takes a side street or something. And it does kind of feel like, to me, if I were one of these racers and the race started, I would probably just take a second and look at the GPS and be like, oh, it's around the corner, actually. Okay. Because, like, that would have worked, I think. That would have passed the test. Because it's not like Brian's, like, disqualified. He just loses on merits. But it's a really weird... It's just such a weird race. And I think it was just because in 2009, those were the hot thing. Just the same way that, like, in 2017, it was self-driving cars. So that's why they put those in the Fast 8. Yeah, I don't know. It's really weird. It's a fine race. It's nothing to write home about.
Can I also say the whole premise here is like rubbing up against what they're trying to reboot this franchise into in a way that is like really wild if you think about. Because previously, like I said, in the first movie, Dom is like a petty DVD player thief who gets busted and runs away. And so in that universe, I can imagine like that was not really a very big deal and people don't really remember it. But now he's international super criminal that the FBI are just salivating at the prospect of catching. And he's like the legend of the LA street racing scene and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so how does 5 years after that went down, both him and the cop who busted him are able to wander into another street racing scene and be like, we're different people. And everyone's like, yeah, we've never heard of either of you, so we buy that you're different people. Like, no one gives a shit.
The cop, like, I kind of understand Dom, at least, because maybe for me, you're like, well, maybe they know it's Dom, and they're like, I want him to race. Let's see what he can do. But, with Brian, you figure after the first movie and the second one, but forget about that because that takes place in Miami. But in the first movie, everyone in the street racing scene would be like, by the way, apparently cops are in this now, and there's this guy, so keep an eye out. And he's like, you know, he's not like a particularly conspicuous person in general because he's so handsome, obviously, which is something we all know and agree. But he's kind of conspicuous in these moments because he is just the random white guy, except for whatever his name was. I already forgot. Tarantino. Dwight, yeah. Where like
well,
almost...
He's a subcategory of foot fetishist, which is different. You need like a non-foot fetishist white guy too.
That's like advanced white guy. I'm talking basic white guy. And like
exactly.
In these movies, Paul Walker is always called out for that. Or like there's always a moment where it's like, oh, white boy, what are you doing here? And it does feel like at least if word doesn't get out that it's Brian O'Connor or that it looks like this, it would be someone would be like, by the way, did you hear there was a cop that infiltrated the street race scene? Oh, really? What did he look like? A cop? And then everyone would know to watch out for that guy. Also, he makes a car out of like impounded cars and stuff.
Yeah, he's like, oh, this is great. Where so there's the little like assistant that Brian has the whole time.
Rookie agent. She's not an assistant DJ.
Rookie agent, excuse me. And she's like, here are the cars you can use for the race. And he lists like 5 cars, and she's like, which one do you want? He goes, all of them.
And you're like,
right.
is that the whatchamacallit of these movies? Is that the I've got a bad feeling about this of the Fast and Furious movies? Because I do legitimately think we get that line a couple times in
give
future
me all
movies.
of them. Yeah, I think in 6 when they're talking about which cars, it's like, which one do you want? He goes, all of them. Like,
yeah, at
under
the
the
auction.
same pretense. Or yes.
Yeah, and I think that happens in 8 too, in the stupid garage, where like the magic garage of cars. And it's like, I mean, the other time I can think of this is, and this is just, you know, probably a me thing, but Iron Man 2 also has that bit where Justin Hammer does the weapons, and then it's like, what do you want? And Rhodey's like, I want all of it. And yeah, it was probably already cliche then, but man, but that's the kind of stuff I'm down for, kind of, in these movies. I want more of that, I think.
Okay.
Unless Paul Greengrass, like, grounded action movie. But,
right.
Yeah.
I get that.
Yeah, so these, so the race goes the way you'd expect. Paul Walker loses by a little tiny bit.
Well, and like Dom kind of cheats.
Well,
right?
I wasn't aware there were any rules.
Yeah, like, does he? What is so? Okay, so beyond all of that, Paul Walker cheated. He took the shortcut. Right?
Oh, right.
Like,
He just kind of goes through. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no one cares, but why are you such a stickler for the rules? has he beaten Vin Diesel in a race up until this point? He did in the first movie, right? Yeah.
Well, don't they cut away in the first movie? So I don't know.
There's not really a winner at the end of the first one. It's just they both don't get killed by the train.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
But then, so they've raced once in this series up until that point, up until just now.
That was technically a race, but again, there's no really like a winner. And then they also raced when he first tried to get involved in the scene, and Dom won that one.
Yes. So I think it's funny that we're 4 movies in with these two guys, and I'm assuming this is probably a Vin Diesel thing. He just can't lose a race, or like
it's in his contract.
Like how it's in his contract that he can't lose a fight.
Exactly. It feels like that because like it's, you know, I mean, I'm trying to think of another movie like this where the heroes are both heroes and they kind of go blow for blow. But you would expect that like by this point we've seen Brian in a couple of movies and we've seen Dom in only one, so you'd be like, oh, Brian's learned a few new tricks. But it doesn't matter because Vin Diesel's still the best one.
Well, he's perfect.
Yeah.
You know, maybe that's why this series needs Paul Walker.
Yeah.
Is because he's the only character in them who is both A, not a joke, and B, allowed to fail.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But he's always going to be compared to Vin Diesel is the tricky part.
I mean, he's still a buster, you know?
He's still a buster.
It's pretty fun.
I did like that line. I'm not going to lie.
I was waiting for some buster something, and then I got it. It was great. So then the Braga thing, it happened well. Everything went perfectly. So then they go to. So then we get the foot fetish scene, which is amazing, which everyone should watch.
Yeah, the FBI busts Dwight for being a foot fetishist.
Yep. I mean, that's basically what happens.
It should be.
No, he plants like heroin on him, and they arrest him for that. And it's like, wow, I guess we're supposed to think this is good. And
what were you saying, DJ?
It was meth. That's like such a
yeah.
You're right. It was meth. But that
and
then
it's like, I don't do
meth.
meth, man. What was it? Daddy, don't do meth.
Teddy Dwight don't touch that stuff or something.
Yeah, Daddy Dwight don't touch that stuff. Yeah. Oh my
god. But now that there's 2 slots open on the driving team, they hire both Dom and Brian. Whoa.
Isn't that suspicious? Should there be a red flag there? Just kind of throwing it out there.
He just got picked up by the cops out of nowhere, and now
he's there. Yeah. No one's
second place racer
one.
that no one's ever heard of is now in charge.
Except it turns out that everything they do involving this job, like, it really doesn't fucking matter who you pick, either skills or trustworthiness-wise. It makes no difference whatsoever.
Yeah. And then...
Oh, my God.
I do want to talk... Post-foot fetish scene, we get... And we are not even halfway through this movie. Our 3rd transition, like... low-angle sexy butt transition into a party. It's amazing. I think this movie probably has the most of any of those.
Making out.
Yeah.
I
solely for the pleasure of men.
Yeah, and like I have to say, I don't mean to like, I don't know how to critique this, but I'm going to give it my best shot.
Oh, it's going to go beautifully, DJ. I can already tell. The confidence you have in your statement. Everybody, put your do that thing where you put your elbows on the table. And then hold up your hand in the middle, or hold up your head in the middle with both hands.
Okay. So, imagine I'm doing this right now, right? So, I think that the, women making out scene is obviously just, like, grotesque and gratuitous. What doesn't help is that, like, I feel like the women actors clearly are, like, not about this. I'm sorry. It's just, like, it seems, I don't buy it.
No,
what is that?
That's a very common criticism from actual, lesbians about depictions of lesbianism in media, where even porn, where it's clearly 2 straight girls who don't actually like doing it.
And it's weird. It's weird, right? Like, like if that's your thing, cool. But like, I don't know. I'm just being uncomfortable by watching these women like awkwardly make out. It's not fun.
I mean, it's pretty... It's a weird scene in general. The thing about this show, these movies, and maybe it's just me being not part of the LA underground racing scene, these parties don't seem like much fun. It's just a lot of standing around. I don't know what they get out of it. And it's like, if you're at a party, or like, let's say you went to the outside part of this, like, because they all go inside to the bar. But if you go to the outside part, and it's just, you get there, the music's really loud. Cars are all on because everybody's showing all of their car parts to each other and stuff. There's girls that are like dancing and making out with each other, but like, that's not for you. Like, that's not for you, but like, that, you know, that's probably means they're not interested in talking to you. What do? You just stand around and wait for the thing to end?
Braga tells them, right? Girls, booze, drugs, whatever you want. It's all yours.
Also, to be fair, Nando, you are just describing parties.
That's the thing, though. Like, I do think it's bad for me here because there's so, when you just watch the scene without the music, and like I'm doing now, just kind of scroll through it to see what's going on. Nothing's happening. Like, there's like dancing. There's barely dancing. There's no, like, you kind of figure there'd be some people kind of, you know, rubbing shoulders and whatever, and then, like, a big dance area. But that's not really happening either. It's so, like, segregated. It just looks like no fun. Yeah. I mean, it's probably no fun for a million reasons. Also, DJ, you're right about the girls not wanting to make out thing. I remember hearing story, not, like, wanting to make out, I guess, but wanting to, like, how girls, and I'm saying girls specifically because the story I'm trying to recall is the one where Megan Fox was in Bad Boys 2, I think. And she was like, yeah, they wanted me as an extra for the scene, and they kept making me be like, all right, now dance all sexy or something. And she was like, not about that. But I think she was also like too young for that to be happening in general.
Right.
Which is also weird. But yeah, I think that's definitely part of it. And it's so awkward that we never spend any time at those things. Like, we always just walk by and then go to the actual movie, you know? Like, there's no there's nothing to do with those in those scenes. Even Vin Diesel, like, doesn't even want to be in the bar. He just goes to check out the cars. Like, he's like playing with the cat at the party, you know? It's even worse.
Excuse you, Nando, but I appreciate a good body regardless of the make.
Yeah, he's pansexual or whatever.
But he's not, though. He appreciates a car body. He doesn't seem to give a shit about other bodies.
Well, while he is saying that line, he is checking out Gal Gadot, although for no other point in the entire rest of the movie is he doing so.
Yeah, so what do you think the deal was with Gal Gadot and her character and just their really weird sexual tension?
They need to have a woman who's so into Vin Diesel because Vin Diesel's just the best guy.
Yeah, it's part of the fantasy. If you don't have a woman who wants to bone down with you, then, like, what's even the fucking point? Am I right, fellas?
Yep.
Pretty much. And, like, in these scenes, I mean, it's definitely just because it's not a particularly good movie, but I have a really hard time figuring out what Dom's getting out of this, or like what, you know, if he's just enjoying making her upset, kind of, because like he's kind of having fun with it, the flirting, and then it cools down and he's like, yeah, I won the flirting. I don't know. He's like, yeah, I won. Sexual chicken. Yeah.
Well, Dom's primitive brain can only understand things in terms of racing and competitions, so he thinks that he has to win the flirting by making her feel bad, I guess. So that's just what he's trying to do. Now, Letty's just used to that style from him, so she just lets it go. But Giselle thinks that he's being mean, when actually it's just this is how he understands romance.
That's right. That makes sense. We also haven't talked about Phoenix. I think we've been introduced to him already. DJ, can you describe Phoenix?
Yeah, he's like the lieutenant for, well, it's weird, because, like, Braga's lieutenant, it's so weird. We are led to believe that, not Braga,
Campos. Ramon Campos.
Yes.
We are led to believe he's, like, Braga's lieutenant. Phoenix, which is spelled, like, Fenix or something stupid like that, he's, like, another player in this chess game, and he's, like, an enforcer. He's, like, the heavy that the heroes are eventually going to have to go up against.
Yeah, and he's the only character that quite fits the build of Shadow Man, so it's pretty clear that he killed Letty.
It's really funny how Vin Diesel is suspicious of him, presumably because he fits the Shadow Man build, even though there's no way he knows that.
I think it's right. I think that's it. I mean, he knows. When you know, I'm sure is what he would say. And this guy...
You just have a sixth sense for these things when you're the world's greatest detective, Dominic Toretto.
Again, he's Batman in this one. They have the bit where they like come up against each other. Phoenix also is like covered in Mike Tyson like level tattooery. And we haven't said this yet, but he is the actor from whatchamacallit, from The Boys, who plays MM and at Lars Alonso, which I'm like, man, I didn't think I'd ever seen him in anything, but he just looks so different in this.
Oh yeah, he's like a different person in this movie.
And then they do some more races through tunnels. It's a stupid place to race, wouldn't you say?
Well, it's practical, I guess.
Are we talking about when they do the job, or is this a different thing?
When they go to the meeting with all the other guys, right?
Yeah, they have to do
not a race, but like
it's like
a fast car drive.
Yes.
Another driving scene happens, and it's through the tunnels to get to this meeting that Brian and Dom end up kind of sabotaging by accident.
Okay, hold on. Uh-huh. Is this before the warehouse this happens?
Which warehouse?
The warehouse where they get put in the big truck and then they go to Mexico.
No, yeah, that's after that. It's what happens in Mexico.
Okay, yeah, no. Okay, yeah, it's the job. This is the job.
Oh, okay, sure. I thought when you said job, I kind of thought you meant like the end of the thing. I don't know why I thought that.
No. This is the job that they got hired to do for Braga.
Right.
Yes. Oh man, I thought you guys were talking about like a different scene before this that I had no memory of, and I felt like I was losing my mind.
No, yeah, that's the problem with this movie is like there's a lot of scenes that don't connect in any really interesting way.
Because there's a lot of no action. There's a lot of no action, right?
I want to describe, as best as I can, how the structure of getting to and executing this job makes any recruitment for trustworthiness, skill, anything entirely pointless.
Okay.
So the way it happens is their GPS that they got given after they were hired goes off, and they have to go meet up in this warehouse, right?
Yep.
Once
and the cops are like, go, Brian, go.
Yeah. Once they're in the warehouse, they're scanned for any tracking device or anything. So Brian has to like short his out in his can of NOS energy drink.
Yeah, that was cute.
Which there's a lot of NOS product placement in this movie still.
Oh yeah,
it's the worst. I do not enjoy it because it is very hard to. It's not a great tasty thing. Don't care for it.
I've never had NOS. As much as I love this franchise, I've never had NOS.
I was curious recently. I don't know. It's hard to say it's worse than whatchamacallit.
Like Monster or whatever.
Yeah, it's a bit. I'd say it's a little bit. I like Monster more than NOS for sure. I think it's about where Red Bull is. It's tough, man.
I've never had an energy drink in my life, so I don't know.
Oh, you're gonna live like 10 years longer than all of us.
Yeah, they stink. They're not very good.
But anyway, so they make sure that there's no GPS or tracking device or anything on any of them. Then they pack them, they seal them into like a truck and drive off down to Mexico, where they pack their cars full of meth or heroin. I forget which one he deals in. I think it's heroin.
Yeah, I believe that's correct.
And then they have to do the job, which is they have to get across the border. Now, you might be thinking, like, yes, evading the authorities and everything. Of course, you would need to be a good driver to do that. Fucking no. Apparently, Braga has dug a tunnel between the U.S. and Mexican border, and all you have to do is get to this tunnel and then drive through it in a straight line. It's a straight line tunnel. Just drive through it real fast. and like that's
Yep.
it. That's the entire job.
It is a narrow tunnel. Let's not underestimate.
But it's straight. It's a straight line.
Oh yeah, it's bananas.
Why do you have to drive through it fast?
I don't even know. I don't. They the whole time they're like, "There's a helicopter coming. You guys got to go fast." I'm like, so it doesn't see them underground?
So I think the way that this works, and so I think it's as they go in, like Border Patrol picks them up as they go into the tunnel, and they have to get out of the tunnel before the helicopter from Border Patrol arrives. So by the time the helicopter gets there, it'll be like, no one's here. You could just stay in the tunnel.
Not there.
Right?
They're already in the tunnel. If you just go slow instead of fast, then they'll be done looking by the time you get to the end of the tunnel.
That's what I thought. I'm like, just wait in the tunnel. It's less risk.
Yeah, I'm not convinced these tunnel. I don't know what this is. Like, were they like tunnels or something drug lords have?
I mean, it is a thing.
I mean, El Chapo had several tunnels.
Exactly.
It's like documented, right? Yeah.
Yeah, is that what they were going for here?
Probably. I don't think that they needed specialized drivers who drive real fast. I think it was literally just you pack people full of drugs and you send them through the tunnel and they just leisurely walk through the tunnel and that's it. That's the whole thing.
Like if you have a tunnel, you don't even really need drivers. Just like a conveyor belt or something. What do you?
And then
why bother? What if the cars explode?
And then they get to the end and the meetup point where they're all like, oh, the guys on the U.S. side who work for Braga are like packing out all the heroin.
Yeah.
Then Vin Diesel interrupts it, but Phoenix is going to just fucking kill them all. Mm-hmm. So it doesn't matter. They don't have to be good drivers. They don't have to be trustworthy because you only use them this once and they don't get to tell anyone anything and you make sure they're not being tracked. So what's the fucking point? Just get anybody.
Right. And this is where we learn, this is where Dom gets another flashback of the, like
another brain blast.
Yeah. Where he watches that scene in like grainy film, not sepia necessarily, but clearly like, you know, memory-ish kind of stuff. It's pretty stupid. But then they kind of double cross him, and Dom and Brian escape together.
Whoa.
The Buster and the cool guy. Everyone's favorite duo.
And
also,
I
is
thought
this where
they killed
punch
Phoenix,
each other?
but I guess they didn't.
No, they did not. Yeah,
that comes in a. Phoenix has a hilarious death, in my opinion, but
he does.
It's not
but
hilarious.
No, I thought like when I watched this scene, I was like, all right, Dom got Phoenix, and now he's after the big guy. And then later, Phoenix shows up, and I was like, I guess they didn't.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, right. I remember what's going on with Dom. Okay, so what's the other twist? Explain why Dom and Paul Walker fight.
Oh, yeah. So as it turns out, this twist is stupid, but it turns out
pointless.
that
they have to fight like big muscle men.
Letty was working undercover with Brian, and Brian was the one who took her in because if Letty worked with Brian, Dom would have gotten immunity, and then Dom could have came home. So, yeah.
Yeah, and it was her idea, apparently. Brian says that she came to him with it.
Yep.
And how does this fight go?
It's not quite a stalemate, but I think Brian like kind of gets his ass kicked.
Oh yeah, Vin Diesel's wiping the floor with him until he yells out what happened, and then Vin Diesel stops. Because apparently that was enough information that he's like, I instantly forgive you.
I feel like
Martha,
there's also...
name's Martha.
Well, there's a bit where like Brian wraps his legs around Vin Diesel. You remember that? Where he like almost does like a little jiu-jitsu move?
They start doing
Black
some
Widow, who's gonna...
They do some wrestling shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's gonna do the Black Widow.
It would work. And it's funny because in future movies, from here on out, also they all become like Supermen when it comes to jumping out of cars and landing on the ground and being fine. But they also all turn into like super martial artists, and like there'll be fights where Brian will be fighting the dude from, you know, The Raid, and holding his own because he is also one of the greatest fighters on Earth, and it's fucking so stupid. But yeah, so now Brian and Dom are cool. They're cool with each other, kind of. Not really, but like a little bit.
You get over it, right? Like, you know, that's what friends are for.
That's right.
Well, what happens is after this scene, they never mention or talk about Letty again for the rest of the movie.
For the rest of, like, a movie and a half.
Yeah.
Right? Because, like, you get the rest of this movie and then the next movie. Letty who?
And this movie has, like, a fake ending and then a real ending, kind of. Because then they start working together, and Brian's like, I got it. I've got Braga. I have his drugs, or whatever. It's drugs, right? They have, like, his... Yeah.
Oh, right, yeah. He calls in, like, I'm gonna go... he calls into the FBI, like, I got all the heroin. We can bring it in and, use it to get Braga. And they're like, yo, you got that DVD player thief with you? If you don't arrest him right now, you're a criminal. Like, guys, I'm talking about taking down what is apparently one of the biggest drug lords in the entire world. Can we leave the DVD players out of it for 5 seconds?
Millions and millions and millions of dollars worth of drugs. Like, they're so excited about just getting these drugs. They don't even really need the drug lord. I mean, they do. They want him, but...
They specifically say something like he brings in more heroin in a week than El Chapo did in years. Or something absurd like that.
Yeah. With this tunnel plan. So weird. And, like... So Letty died, right, in the last one of these, and we find out that she was part of this. The same way that news of Brian being the street racing cop would spread through the LA racing underground, this would also...
Right.
It would be very clear that all the henchmen die every time. Like, people would
how
stop
come no one
taking
ever
Braga
talks-
jobs.
No one ever talks about, like, man, everyone who wins those Braga jobs just stops showing up forever, and no one ever hears from them again. It's kind of weird, don't you think?
And then,
Hey, don't worry about it.
So...
And
so
then they mysteriously need 4 more drivers after every single job.
Yeah, they went up to sunny Mexico, and they're on a beach somewhere, and they never want to do driving again. You'll never hear from them.
Well, you get paid so well for it's the one last job, right? Braga's job is always one last job.
But okay, so they have this deal, and it's like, okay, so here's what we're gonna do. Me and you, Vin Diesel and Paul Walker, we're gonna go meet Braga, and we're gonna be like, we'll give you the heroin back if you say hi to me as Braga.
Yeah, meet me in person. Because to this point, they don't think they've met Braga.
And they haven't, because he's a different character. He's not in this character yet.
Brian does think he's seen Braga, because in the party, he sneaks off and gets a glimpse of Ramon talking to some older gentleman. And he's like, I bet that's Braga. And so he swiped their shot glasses, and he gives them to Rookie Agent to run the prints on to see if they have any matches on known international criminals.
I don't get how this works. Like, if what's the point of the fingerprint analysis coming up positive? It's like, great, you knew that was Braga. Why? Like, no new information. Like, that's the one point I didn't understand.
They don't. They say specifically earlier on they have no info on Braga. They don't know what he looks like. They don't know his DOB. They don't know anything. So if they are able, no, they don't. They pulled it up from some international database. That they didn't even
it was like Interpol or something. Yeah.
But like that's why it takes so long, because they have to go through all these records, most of which are not kept digitally. So that's what it is. It's like this way they have a way to automate it and like pull up if it matches any records in the world.
Right. Okay.
So, like, here's what I don't get. They know Braga is Braga. They've been looking for someone named Braga.
Yep.
All they have to do is check if the name Braga is somebody's name, and then see if that guy is one of the guys that's at these things. Right?
Yes.
Like,
well, there's probably a lot. Braga is a very common Portuguese name. So he would probably bring up a lot of Portuguese criminals and very few Mexican ones.
But, like, they know who Braga... They know that there's a Braga, right? Like, he's Braga. Like, okay, so here's how this is kind of confusing me. In a normal movie like this, Braga wouldn't be his name. It would be the Kingpin or something. You know, an alias that we would learn. But in this, his name is Braga. What...
Then
how is this hidden information from any of them?
Oh man, the second season of The Wire does that so good, where there's this like European crime lord in that season who's kind of the ultimate villain behind everything, although he doesn't show up much for it because he's a similar figure. But they only know him as the Greek. And by the end, because of some people screwing up. They don't have any info on him besides like a picture of him in the background somewhere. And like at the end, him and his like henchmen are going off, and they're like, you got nothing to worry about. They don't got nothing on you. All they have is the name, the Greek. And the guy goes, and I ain't even Greek.
Yeah, I mean,
it's good.
This is definitely them do it. These people, whoever wrote this, saw The Usual Suspects and was like, we're going to do that. And it doesn't really work with The Usual Suspects either when you get down to it. But you at least learn, like, it makes a little bit more sense than this because at least, like, did they just find out about Braga when the movie starts?
I don't think so, because they've been on his trail for however long, right?
Right. So what are they like? I just don't get it. It doesn't make any sense.
Usual Suspect, at least that part of it, that is the actual like cop trying to figure things out, takes place over the course of like an afternoon.
Exactly.
So he doesn't have time to pull stuff up, really.
Like if this guy if he's the #1 heroin dealer in Interpol or whatever, it'd be easy to figure out who he is. You'd be like, you got a Braga that's really high up in the problems, like you're looking for him? Send us a picture. And then we'll be like, cool. Also, does this guy have like a fake MySpace page and stuff too? You know?
How deep
he set up a whole thing for his remote. Yeah, why did he set up an elaborate fake identity and use that one for just like living instead of using that one to be the drug lord?
Yeah. It's so weird. So anyway, so Brian and Dom go and they meet this guy. They meet normal old Ramon, and then they're like, we want to see Braga. And then some old guy gets out of the car, and that's when
the same old guy that Brian saw meeting with Ramon earlier. Ooh.
It like
I guess means that he's just like kept on payroll of in case we need someone to pretend to be Braga. That's his whole job.
Yeah, like it's such a weird. It's so weird. Like, if not for the whole Braga thing, right? Like, let's say his name was Braga. Everyone knew his name was Braga, and he was the drug lord. Nothing changes.
Right.
Except for this scene. Everything else is just like, we got to get to Braga. Well, you need to earn his trust and go to his location and get the drugs. And, like, it's the same fucking movie. But this guy comes up, and he's like, I'm Braga. What's up? And Vin Diesel and Paul Walker both look at him and go, like, that's not Braga. And
yeah.
But the thing about this scene that really pisses me off, besides all that stuff I just said, is that Shea Wiggum's character, we haven't talked about a ton, but he's the other cop who, like, if you know, he's in a lot of shows. People, I'm sure if you Google him, you'll be like, oh yeah, that guy from like what is it? He was in Boardwalk Empire. He was in Agent Carter. He was in
he's that guy from that thing.
And what's that show with the guy, True Detective? He's in the first season of that. So he's this cop that's all on Brian's like business, right? And the cops have set up this sting to catch Braga. They know that they're trying to catch Braga, and they're like, Braga is the guy we want to get. And they're and real Braga, secret real Braga brings out fake Braga, and then Shea Wingham goes like, all right, let's get him. And they're still waiting for Paul Walker's signal because Paul Walker's going to be the one who's like, that's Braga. And he jumps the gun, but they don't bother arresting the other guy. Like, how many guys does it take to capture Braga? He's not Magneto. Like, put 2 cops on Braga and 2 cops on the other one. But they just, like, they catch fake Braga, and real Braga somehow is able to get away. It's so stupid.
What was the thing with the printer that was, like, happening, like, at the same time? Like, Rookie Cop was, like, waiting at the printer because, like, we got the prints.
That's when we're getting
Yeah. They got the print match, and then, like I said, the record didn't exist digitally, so they were having whatever department had it, like, fax it over to them. So she's waiting for it to be faxed.
And but why is this treated as, like, some suspenseful thing during the scene? Like, I don't get that.
Well, like, it's not to us, but it will be revealed to be a picture of Braga and the name Braga and the guy who actually is Braga.
Yeah.
Like,
it's supposed to not be blindingly obvious that Ramon is really Braga, but it is, so it doesn't work at all.
right? Like, it only makes this only works as a reveal if Gal Gadot is Braga. Then you're like, oh, yeah, I didn't see that one coming. But
that would have gotten me, I have to say.
Yeah. And also, like, you could have done some bullshit where she's like, well, I just do drugs for my family, and then all would be forgiven.
For my family. And Dom's like, family, say no more.
Yeah, come on over to the barbecue. Bring some ice cold Coronas, and she'd fit right in.
Also, while Braga and Phoenix are escaping from this, he suddenly decides, for no reason, that Gal Gadot, his loyal lieutenant, who has done absolutely nothing to screw him over in any way, and in fact, Phoenix is the one who's been screwing up and not killing people when he's supposed to. Decides that she gotta go and tells him to kill her.
It's so stupid.
Apropos of nothing, it seems. Just like, I don't want her around.
Literally no reason. He's just like, we're escaping. You just run her over real quick. Make sure she does. He don't even, like, if he even just said, like, she knows too much. We can't let them get her. Like, okay. So he's ruthless. He doesn't, I get it. That communicates everything I need. But he gives no reason. He's just like, kill her.
And also, like, this whole scene is so stupid for a million reasons. But then next thing that happens is Brian goes to the police station and has, like, or FBI headquarters, I guess, or whatever, and has a meeting where he gets, like, the guy's like, you blew it, Brian. You're the problem. You are the one who made the mistake. And I'm sitting there with Brian like, no, I didn't. It's that guy. He fucked it all up.
No one acknowledges
from
that.
True Detective. You guys were there. You saw it.
Are we sure he's not with Braga? He really fucked up this operation.
Yeah, honestly. He should have some guys on the payroll. Why not? Other Fast and Furious villains have pulled that off. This guy's got so much heroin money.
And you're apparently the greatest heroin dealer of all time, so I'm sure you got the cash.
Like, if you weren't doing it now, you should definitely think about it. It's a really worthwhile investment, Braga. And I know you're in jail and you don't exist. But other future Bragas, like, it seems like Braga playbook number 1. Get a bunch of tablets, put a little video game on them, and then also bribe some cops. Get a couple crooked cops on the payroll. But,
well, that's always the boring reality of, like, thieves, is that usually it's just like, bribe someone, and then, like, it's fine. Like, the way you do this is, bribe a couple border agents, and they'll let you sneak some drugs in. Doing an art heist is like, bribe a bored art curator, and he'll lose a couple pieces for you. That's all thievery is. It's just bribing the right people.
Yeah, but I mean, also it's like hidden first names or last names, secret identities, or some bullshit. So then Braga goes to Mexico, where he is out of range. They can't get him because he's in Mexico. Because this movie came out after Bad Boys 2. And that worked in that movie, so why not put it in this one? And Braga takes all the stuff to the church, wearing a very silly shirt. I don't like his shirt in this. You know what? I kind of like his shirt in this scene. And he gives it to the priest guy.
The funny thing is that, Mexico does extradite criminals to America, so they totally could still arrest him. It's completely fine.
And, like, I assume he's going to try to go back to America. Like, he isn't giving up on his heroin empire. I mean, he'll probably actually hire a decoy Braga this time. But still, like, it doesn't seem like this is all or nothing. Like, if we don't get him right now, we'll never get him again. I mean, I guess they kind of know where he is because they show up at the church with a shotgun. But, like, it's a weird ticking clock, but the movie knows it's almost over, so it has to be like, we gotta go get Braga right now. And they do. They just get him. It's pretty easy. They sneak into the church.
It's crazy how anticlimactic this fucking scene is.
Yeah.
It's the worst capture scene ever. It makes the villain just look like a straight incompetent. Like, it's amazing he's gotten away with this much so far.
Yeah.
How does he do it?
I'm not totally clear on what the criminal was doing in this scene. He hands the priest like a bag full of cash, and I'm like, oh, he wants the priest to do something, or he wants to do something. But it's like, no, he just wants to pray in this church. Like,
yeah,
they just let you do that, right? You can just do that.
Right.
Well, it kind of seems like he wanted to like help the community. He was like, we were gonna find out that he's like a man of the people, Braga, and he's like, I'm giving it all to the poor. But yeah, he just wants a blessing from Father, whatever his name is, and he like goes and starts praying, and the priest leaves, and no one's in the church but him. And then he closes his eyes, and then just the other Paul Walker and Vin Diesel from far away just walk up to him, and he's like, "What? Like, where did they come from? How did they know he was going to be in this church? Did his guys not check? It's so weird."
Yeah, Phoenix, aren't you being pissed? You know what?
Phoenix isn't even there. They
He's
specifically
outside.
show a scene.
Isn't
no,
he?
that's another guy. They
Oh.
specifically show a scene when the chase is starting of like Phoenix off like partying with girls, and then someone calls him in like, "Hey, you got to go do a chase scene." And he's like, "Ah, fuck, fine."
That's so
They
weird.
don't pay me enough for this shit. I have to say, maybe this is like a subtle nod that because he got rid of Gal Gadot. By the way, Dom saves Gal Gadot. Did we mention that?
Oh, no,
right.
yeah, we did not. And also,
Right,
I guess, tells him where Braga is, yeah.
Yeah, that's how they find him. She like she like gives them a thing that has his like GPS location on him or something.
And Gal Gadot just tries to throw herself at Vin Diesel one more time. And it pings off of him like Superman. Just, I only have eyes for my one dead girlfriend who's not dead, but, you know, she got
And the
DUI,
Brazilian
so we
cop
gotta
from the
pretend
next
she's
movie.
dead. Yeah. Like, Gal Gadot is such a, like, it's funny because the thing about Gal Gadot's character now, which will change later, is she has no character. There's nothing to her. But he meets the Brazilian cop in the next one, and he's like, "You love family too? I love you so much." And it's like, did you want this Gal Gadot thing to work the first time you wrote this script? Or did they, between 4 and 5, kind of go like, all right, well, there was something wrong with the relationship, but we just couldn't figure it out. So let's try again. Hire another model that
Take
can
two.
kind of
You know
act, throw her in the
what I
scene,
think?
have her say the word family a couple times.
I think Dom is dressing it up with all these fancy, like, high-minded concerns that make him seem like he's not shallow, but really he just prefers his women to be short.
That's because Elsa Pataki pretty short, if I remember correctly.
And
Yeah.
Yeah, good for. I
and
mean,
good
Gal
observation.
Gadot
That's
is
fine.
very tall.
she is.
So
She's
I
quite
think
tall.
He's got a preference, and you know what? There's nothing wrong with having a preference, but you should be honest about it.
I mean, it makes
Yeah.
sense, right? Vin Diesel seems to like. I don't know. He seems to be a tallish guy, but he also seems like the kind of guy who if he's a scene with a Rock, he has to stand on, or the Rock he has to stand on like egg crates, you know? So he doesn't want to be
hell
seen
yeah.
around town with a, you know, he needs a smaller woman to make him look like a giant man. It works. So, all right. So then end of the movie, they kidnap him. They get Braga real, like, stupid easy. Because all the goons were just watching the single front door, as if that's the only door in the church. And what's his name? We were talking about the party that Phoenix is at. Do you guys remember what it is specifically? In case we already didn't like this, or in case we were like, is Phoenix the good guy? I'm not sure. He's at a cockfight. A full-on, like, throwing money at the chickens cockfight. It's awful.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I don't know if you guys ever seen the 4th Rambo movie. The one that's, I think, called, I can't even remember. Maybe it's called Rambo? Maybe it's John Rambo? I don't know. There's some, like, villain who's, like, a local, you know, warlord or something. And he's been a local warlord the whole movie. And we know that Sylvester Stallone's going to kill him in a couple of scenes. And even though he's been the warlord the whole movie, they also make him a pedophile, just in case we weren't on board with him exploding. And it feels like kind of like that, where it's like, did we not like Phoenix enough? Well, that's, you know, he's the most like unlikable character maybe in the entire Fast and Furious series. He's just the worst.
Right.
But then they race through these stupid tunnels. It's pretty. It's
Again
fine.
with the tunnels.
Yeah.
Did they pay so much for
the straight line tunnels that they did the run through before, they have a chase scene through now.
Right? And you'd kind of expect, not necessarily expect, but I could see a version of this movie where the first time they go through the tunnels, it's slow because it's dangerous. And it's like, we need good drivers, precise, but don't go fast, otherwise you'll almost certainly die. And then it's like, these tunnels are going to kill them. But that's, we do the tunnels at the same speed both times. Also, the tunnel...
That definitely... I hadn't even thought of that. That's a super good point. That would have made this scene so much more interesting if the first time was specifically don't go fast because it's dangerous, and then they had to go fast.
Right?
Damn, that would have been perfect.
But this movie just doesn't know what to do. That's why I think it's a couple different movies. But also, this scene has this bit that I thought was so funny, and I still do. I think there's a bunch of really funny bits in this scene. The first one... Braga is in a car with... So, like, the good guys split up into two cars. Vin Diesel's in one car, and Paul Walker and Braga are in the other car. Paul Walker is, like, driving, and Braga's like, you'll never find the tunnel. It's a very precise tunnel. It's kind of like a secret route in, like, a Mario Kart race. Where, like, you go through the waterfall, and then you find the tunnel, but you'll never find the waterfall.
You gotta go to the secret, like, special part of the waterfall.
Yeah.
Get it. It's
pretty cute.
Braga does a lot of taunting to Brian in this scene, and I feel like Brian just needs to like look him in the eye and go, there's literally nothing that can happen to me that won't also kill you, right?
Yeah. And also, like, I could see Paul Walker just punching him real hard and that working. Like, he's not...
Well, he does do that
in his
eventually.
mouth. Yeah, that's true. But then, there's also a bit where Vin Diesel jumps into another car from his car at full car speed because his car's about to explode. And
how does he do that?
With his superpowers.
Yeah, this is where the superpowers, I think, first manifest themselves.
Well, and it's always like car-related superpowers.
In the first scene, he does like do a supernatural act of timing where he drives right under the flaming oil tanker bouncing down the road.
And even before that, there's the bit where it's like, take my hand and I'll grab you in like while we're both driving and moving. And so like that's a thing that we'll see in a lot of Fast and Furious movies. So yeah, I guess we in this scene and in the first scene, you see like the super heroics starting to develop.
Hey, imagine if Letty had died in that scene, and that's why he gives up crime, because he's like, I'm sad that doing my crimes killed my girlfriend, and so I'm retiring. And then, something else happens that makes him, like, go back to Braga, and he's like, all right, this is it. I'm going to do one more crime, but that's it.
Yeah.
I feel like that probably would have worked better.
That would have worked better.
This movie, man. I will say it does one thing right. They kill Phoenix in a pretty funny way.
That's true.
It makes Dom super dark, I think.
It's great. TJ, do you want to... Well, first, there's also the bit earlier where Braga that gets captured. He's like, do you want to bring me in? Wait. Oh, sorry.
Hold on. Is this the only murder Dom has ever done?
Oh. I don't know.
He doesn't murder anyone in the first movie.
I feel like he hasn't murdered necessarily, but I feel like Dom has been part of races where a murder happens, and he's been cool with it. Yeah.
It's definitely not the only death he has ever caused, but is it the only murder he's ever done?
Maybe? Probably.
I feel like this needs to be a feature now. Every time we do one of these, the Dom murder count.
I don't know who throws the guy out of the train in Fast 5, if that's Dom or not, because that guy just gets like fucking deleted.
Well, then
I feel like that's the guy who betrays them, right? Who ends up doing the murders and like, whoa, what are you doing? Now they're gonna hate us or whatever. Isn't that how that goes?
It's been a minute, but we'll do this from now on. We'll keep track of the Dom murder count because I don't think this is only murder. There are more to come.
Okay,
Stay tuned for more murder.
I just had that thought. You go with what you were going to say.
No, that's very good.
Yeah, well, can you either one of you guys describe the scene that is this Dom's first kill?
Dom's first confirmed kill.
So Phoenix is able to like stop Brian's car. He just like rams into it in the tunnel, and I remember they like break through like part of the mountain because it's just rock. It's just solid mountain rock. Cars can go through that at high enough speeds. Whatever, right? So he busts through that, and the car flips, and Phoenix gets out, and he has like a gun trained on Paul Walker. And just in the nick of time, Dom busts out of the tunnel and is driving head on toward Phoenix. Phoenix takes a shot at Dom, misses, and Dom just like T-bones Phoenix into another car.
Well, hold on,
and just
there's two other things you missed. First one,
there's important positioning going on here.
Yeah, so first one, Phoenix doesn't miss Dom. Dom pops a wheelie so that his car body blocks the bullets, and it's amazing. It's so funny. And then the other thing, Diggins, do you want to describe the positioning? Because that is fun.
So after Dom does that, he's actually still far enough away that Phoenix is like, all right, I'm getting out of here, and goes to like dive out of the way. But Brian is laying on the ground where he was about to get shot, and he like dives over and catches Phoenix's leg so Phoenix can't move.
Yeah.
And that leaves him in place long enough that Dom is able to T-bone him. Apparently flying through the air so expertly that though he absolutely bodies Phoenix, he doesn't even touch Brian.
Yeah, it's wild. And it's hard for you to watch. It's hard for a person to watch that scene kind of knowing what's going to happen. Like, you can see it in the moment and go, that was cool. But if you know that's what's going to happen, you kind of wonder, like, all right, now I'm watching a second time. Now I get to watch Paul Walker jump out of the way. But he really doesn't. And I don't see how at least his arm doesn't get ripped off by the car.
Right?
But it doesn't. He's totally fine. And it's awesome. So good.
Goodness.
And I guess, like, this kind of moment is, like, where... Because the beginning with Braga, when he, like, when this scene begins, Vin Diesel is like ready to kill Braga, and Braga's like, "You're gonna kill me," and Vin Diesel's like, "No, I'm gonna get justice," and it's kind of like, "Aw, he learned the lesson from Brian," and then later, Brian learned the lesson from Dom to execute the people that deserve revenge, you know? So it's like, they both came full circle in weird little character arcs.
This movie's stance on revenge is very murky, so what I'd call it.
Well, a part of me is like, I guess when you look at it, Braga didn't really do anything super evil. Like, Braga and Dom wants Braga, but, like, he really doesn't. Like...
I mean, he's the reason, Letty. I mean, he's the one who instituted the policy of murder every driver we ever hire.
Yeah,
I guess
true.
It's more. I feel like once it becomes, because the movie does like hide the character that did the murder for a while. Once it becomes clear that it's not him and it's this other guy, I get why we still want to get him and like bring him to justice and whatever. But it also seems like there's another guy that's more important for revenge, so he'll probably get revenge. Although, like. Do you think they thought they were going to bring Braga back and he was going to be the Moriarty of this franchise or something?
Well, possibly. I mean, they kind of try that.
Yeah.
They try a soft version of that. It doesn't really work.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of the only villains in these movies that... Well, actually, that's not true. A lot of the villains in these movies survive. Most of the villains in these movies survive.
Yeah, death is not a permanent...
Yeah, it's either you become part of the family or, like, you go to jail, because they catch him in Fast 2. They catch him in this. There's no villain in 1, because, like, Dom's the villain, kind of. And then in everyone after this, the bad guy in that movie is the good guy in the next movie.
Yeah, exactly.
Except for, I guess, not the guy in 5, but after that.
When do we get Braga becoming a good guy in this series? Do you think maybe he'll show up in 9 as a hero?
Oh, that'd be so great! Like, yeah, that with like a heroic empire that now imports like NOS or something, some sort of cool illegal car part that we all love. What if?
Listen, we already redeemed Han's murderer, so why not redeem Letty's murderer?
Letty's.
Yeah.
And she doesn't even die, so, you know.
Yeah.
But Han's not even dead, so...
What if, oh my God, what if he comes back as, like, you know, it's like, because, I don't know, he's been in jail for, like, 10-ish plus years. In, like, fast timeline. I don't know where the timeline is. But he's been in jail for a while. What if he gets out of jail and he opens, like, a business importing and exporting DVD players. Just a completely legitimate
my God.
importing exporting business, and Vin Diesel has to go back one more time to get some DVD players. And then speaking of Vin Diesel, so they get Braga. He's all in jail. The other guy get hit real hard. Vin Diesel goes to court.
Yes. The justice system will do what it needs to.
Yeah. And the judge isn't nice to him.
In the most realistic scene in this movie, a judge is like, even though it's a dumb, bad idea, I'm going to give you a very harsh sentence.
Yeah.
I don't know, Diggins. Dominic Toretto is white, so, there is that factor.
Is he?
Vin Diesel's
classifies
racial
himself as a
identity
person of color.
is not a simple subject.
Well, I'm talking
Why
about
don't we
Dominic
just leave it at
Toretto.
that?
Well, I'm talking
Is
about Dominic Toretto.
Is Dominic Toretto in the canon of Fast and Furious not a white person?
If I had to give him a race in general, I would guess he's probably from the Dominican Republic or something. So I feel like that's where the wedding takes place. It seems like that's important to him.
Okay.
A lot of the movies end up back there. And like in Cuba, I feel like we go there once, maybe. I don't remember. But like, yeah, I mean, it would be hilarious if we met his mom and dad and they were just Italian pizza boxes. Like, it's me, Mama Toretto.
But his brother's John Cena.
Yeah, and I guess he goes to that one country, but that one has no extradition. I don't know. Where is he from?
Yeah,
we're going to have to figure out eventually.
Yeah, right.
I mean, and Jordana Brewster is his sister.
Yeah. And Jordana Brewster is Panamanian, so
they're all over the place.
I think the idea is that they are not white.
Yeah, I guess.
All right.
I mean, listen, racial identity is a complicated and subject, and it's hard to break down in cases like borderline cases what who does and does not count as a white person, but
plus
John Cena's definitely white, so who the fuck knows?
John Cena could be a half brother or something like that. We don't really know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, obviously in this movie they don't mention him when they're talking about brothers and stuff. So it seems like maybe Jordana Brewster just didn't even know about him or something. So I don't know.
Is it going? Here's a question for Fanine. Is it going to turn out that he and Mia didn't know about this brother, or is it going to be like, we just never mentioned him for no reason, but I've known the whole time?
Maybe he killed their parents or something unspeakable.
Here's my guess.
At the age of 8, he strangled their parents to death.
I bet he died in the army or something, and they never talk about him because it's such a sore subject or something. And maybe he even took Dom's place in the army or something. So it's like he's dead as far as they know, and it's also a sore subject. And maybe Dom's embarrassed because he's Mr. Family and he's committed the cardinal sin of family. Everybody else would they wouldn't even be mad at him. They'd just make fun of him for it.
And what about family, Dom? Just shut up.
Yeah.
But yeah,
anyway.
So the justice system works.
Anyway,
right?
Yeah, DJ says Vin Diesel is white, and so he is. I'll let him know. I'll tweet
so
him.
I'm surprised he just got such a light sentence,
It's true.
I have to say also, again, 25 to life with no parole for stealing a bunch of DVD players and not even actually hurting anybody physically. I don't know, man. That seems harsh.
Yeah, I don't want to say it's because he has a popped, unbuttoned collar at the court hearing, but I have seen many videos of judges be like, you're not taking this seriously, like the judge from My Cousin Vinny. Maybe that's it. I mean, Dominic Toretto doesn't not seem like a murderer in this moment. Even if you didn't know him, you'd be scared of this guy because he's scowling all the time. But also, yeah, he's just this human. Maybe the judge is just he's too dangerous. Look at how tall and strong he is. We gotta. But he really does have this jumpsuit unbuttoned, 2 buttons, 3 buttons undone. The 4th button, which is below nipple height, is the first button on this jumpsuit that is fastened. That is way too far, Hasselhoff.
That's not an issue of respect. It's just his pecs are so bulging that's the latest button he can even get to close.
Yeah, I think
it would
that's
be ripping after that. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like The Rock with exploding the cast in 7. But yeah. So then they just like he goes to jail forever. It's pretty good, right? That's how a movie ends.
Yep, that's it, and then the franchise is over.
Now,
just kidding.
Does Paul Walker turn in his badge and gun or anything like that?
No, the turn is just that we see him with the family trying to rescue Dom, and this is just the little signal for he's gone too far. Like, that's all we fucking get.
That's weird.
So, I mean, like, I'm fine with it. Like, it's... He sees that becoming a villain himself is better than trusting in the justice system. What's the line that the big FBI director gives? Like, what's the difference between a cop and a criminal? One bad decision. Like,
what's the difference between a cop and a criminal? We don't protect criminals.
I guess it's more that like this movie is nothing but cliches. Why didn't they do this one? The one where he puts his gun and badge on the table or something, or like, I don't know. But
is it a good surprise at the end? Because I think they pan to Brian last when they're like going through like the roster. So like, is it better for those purposes? I guess
maybe. In fact, I think they pan to Brian first.
Not really? Oh my God,
he is the first one in Dom's American muscle car with the cross, and then Jordana Brewster is in some sort of like sporty number. And then the two brothers, the one that's Don Omar and then the other guy, are in a Trans Am.
Okay.
And what did they do? I guess we don't know yet, technically.
All we see is they flank the bus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The prison transport bus.
This is literally the first scene of Fast 5. It picks up the precise moment this movie leaves off.
Yeah, this is the Empire Strikes Back of the Fast and Furious franchise. Or
there's a time skip in there.
That's true. This is the Last Jedi. This is the next one is the Last Jedi of the Fast and Furious franchise. That's correct. Maybe. Either way, this is not the best one.
No.
It's okay,
I think
though.
we can all agree. It's not the worst movie I've ever seen.
Yeah, honestly, the more I look at it, the more I'm like, it's fine. If
Maybe
it
like
was,
a 5 or 4 out of 10.
Yeah, I see why they I see why they saw this movie and went, oh, okay, we got to do more of the stuff from the beginning and end and less of the middle stuff in these. And also put in those characters that we wrote off for no reason.
Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Like, it's so silly.
Hey, listen, if I was those two guys, I'd be thrilled. I get to cash a big paycheck for being a main crew member of the Fast Saga, but I don't got to do anything.
Yeah.
You actually think that they're getting big paychecks?
So I mean, they're not getting like Vin Diesel paychecks, but they're probably getting pretty decent ones.
I mean, you said, Don Omar writes the songs, right? So that's pretty good.
All right, fair.
Also, they all show up. They really do show up sporadically, though. They're in 8, I remember, but they're not in 7, and they're in 5, but only a tiny bit of 6.
Let me consult the chart.
Yeah.
The chart.
Because I think in 8, they show up, and it's like a fun surprise.
That's not even a gosh dang joke, DJ. There's a chart. I can link you to it if you want.
I mean, I don't not want to see it. I'll tell you that right now.
Okay, let's see here. Okay, here we go. I'm linking it in the chat now. Here is where you can see the chart.
Love it. Okay. So, oh my God, there's so many. What did we decide this guy's name was? Oh, Rico Santos. Yeah. So
Tego and Rico. They're next to each other for ease.
There you go. So he has a cameo. Yeah, he has a cameo in 8, and then I guess he's in 6 and 7. Yeah, I guess they have flashbacks.
No,
bullshit.
They're in 4 and 5 as main characters. They have archive footage in 6 and 7, which basically means they show a flashback of those two movies, and they're in them. And then cameos in 8.
And I think
and apparently they are not going to be in 9.
Yeah, what a bummer.
So you maintain that you think they're getting some good money off this?
They probably got decent money off Fast 5.
Yeah. I don't know what Tego called her on, what his deal is. I think he's also a musician, but I wonder if I know his songs.
What is Los Bandoleros?
I'm looking that up. Yeah.
It's like some like short film prequel to this movie.
Oh my God, it was directed by Vin Diesel. He directed this.
What?
How do I see this? How do I watch this?
It's on YouTube. Well, yeah, what? Wait, I think it's a music video.
It's 20 minutes long, though.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's a short film.
Oh, wow.
It's basically they realized that they didn't have any scenes with the actual crew, and so they made a 20-minute short film about the crew at the start of the movie.
Nice. I love it. Why isn't it in the movie? That seems like the kind of thing you usually want to put in the movie.
Oh my god. I read the plot summary on Wikipedia, and this is unbelievable. Apparently, Dom and Letty only met back up right before the oil heist. So they've been back so they've only been back together since the first movie for a couple days.
Oh, that's amazing.
Oh my God.
And when he says it's too dangerous and leaves her.
That's so funny.
I love...
And also means that it was 5 years between the first movie and this one, plus however many years until, 6 she comes back?
Yeah. At least
it was
couple.
that many years since they had any kind of long-term relationship, really.
Gosh.
That's wild. Yeah.
So I'm fat. Sorry,
so
go ahead,
stupid.
Nando.
No, that's all I got.
I'm fascinated with this chart. I love how some of them are photo. There's just a photo of some people.
Mm-hmm.
I love that, no matter who you were or are, you get a thing like Ja Rule has a thing as Edwin in the first movie.
Wait, where are
and
their
nothing
photos
else.
in the chart?
The thing that Diggins linked? Yeah.
It's
the
divided
yellow
up
one.
by the first section is principal characters, then primary supporting characters, then secondary supporting characters.
I see.
And then
Okay,
villains.
And some of them, right? It's just all the villains are pretty much just in one movie, except when it gets a little crazy at the end. But Johnny Tran and Takashi and oh my god,
This seems like this. It feels like this little movie.
I love this.
Would be
I
like a
love this.
Pixar short, and for this little Bandoleros thing, would be like those little shorts they do in front of Pixar movies.
But it's 20 minutes long, so it would be like the Frozen short in front of Coco.
Yeah.
God, I remember sitting in the theater, feeling my life force slipping out, being like, when is this going to end?
It's legitimately why I never saw Coco in a theater. I didn't want to. I couldn't do it. I mean, I've seen it. It's great, but I just
Well, I saw it when it the week it released. So I didn't know that was going to happen. That was a total surprise to me.
Yeah, it's dumb. All right. So yeah, this one was fine. F4, whatever. Ampersand one. It's not the worst.
It's still the worst one. No, it is the worst one. I maintain it's the worst one.
Yeah, I guess you're right. I don't know. I really.
Yeah, which one do you think is worse?
It might be 8. I'd have to see 8 again to know. It's I think this one is probably worse than 8. But 8, I've seen 8 more recently than I've seen most of these, and it really kind of went through me. I think it's not having Paul Walker really hurts 8. At least having him here is nice.
I think there are
6.
parts of 8 that I really remember and I could pull more parts of 8 out of my brain, and I haven't seen that movie in I don't know, 6 months, maybe a year, and I could still recall parts of it. I'm like, that was fun.
That's fair.
As opposed to this movie, which I watched 2 days ago and struggle to remember.
Well, it's nice. I mean, this is the kind of Marvel Cinematic Universe where there's some movies that are really good, and then there's a couple others that aren't so good, but none of them are terrible, This one's fine, but it's we're only going up from here. We got 5, 6, and 7. Oh boy, those are a good time.
Woohoo!
We're probably going to take a break
6.
from those, though. Speaking of that,
Yeah.
Oh man,
God,
6 and 8 are now the only ones of these movies I've never seen.
oh, I'm so happy.
Nice.
I want to watch 6 with you.
6. I'm excited for 6 for you to watch 6.
I think
it's gonna be a blast.
6 is probably
by
the favorite.
Yeah.
By the time we do 6, maybe we can watch the movies together.
I
Who
was going to
knows?
say, yeah, take your time. Maybe we'll see what happens. But yeah, next week we'll tell. I mean, we say that now. What are we doing next week, guys?
Fast 5, of course.
No, right?
Well, how's this? I'm going to dissent from what the group has said.
Goodness.
I'm doing it. I'm going to filibuster. I'm filibustering.
Diggins.
Okay, but we have a 2/3 majority, DJ.
Yeah, but
so your
you see-
filibuster's overruled.
No, Diggins. The problem is, I don't want his filibuster. I think what he's doing is very anti-democratic, but I also want unity. And that means me not getting what I want, even though I should. So
okay, so I'm the only vote to overrule the filibuster, even though Nando and I would both vote for the movie itself.
Absolutely. It's really about unity and preserving the institution of the filibuster. It's mostly nitpicking, we golf and we sit down and we hammer out deals over at a bar.
Get a couple beers.
Yeah. It's a real good civil time, except for sometimes when it's not. And we're all in life-threatening danger. But besides that, really civil. And we have to make sure we're maintaining that.
I see.
It wouldn't happen twice, right? But I think this is a great idea. No, I think, like, I don't know. I mean, the Fast movies, I really don't think that movie will come out this year.
Phenomenal.
Yeah, probably right.
Yeah, if it does, I think it'll come out in, like, November. But, like, this year is just going to be so weird for movies. When are they going to come out if they're getting released that far? If, like, they're pushing, No Time to Die, which is the canary in the coal mine, apparently. If they're pushing that far back, like, what the heck does that mean?
I have to wonder, what will the first movie I see in theaters, like, what will that be? What will the first movie I see in theaters be?
Snyder Cut. That's due out in March.
God.
Oh, my God.
I know. Someone told me that.
I thought it was May.
No, and I checked, and it is March, but there's no way. It's not in a million years. I think, like, they're not even sure if they're going to release it as a movie or as a series of shows or in theaters or not. Like, they're so confused about all of this. So
because of that, next week we're starting our road to the Snyder Cut with Man of Steel.
Oh, God damn it. Do we have to? Oh, no. Oh, no.
I want to be very clear. We have not talked about this ahead of time. That's the thing I just said.
I just thought about
because
that.
I hate them and myself.
I want to do the Godzillas. We're all talking. Here's the thing. I do think because there's no part of me that believes this movie's coming out in March. I just don't buy it. And that's why I don't think doing the Snyder Cut makes sense.
You're sounding a lot like me right now, Nando.
Yeah, I know. And you're right. I think, like, this is definitely, we're seeing trailers, but I mean, we saw Justice League trailers before. I think it's so wishy-washy. I don't want to bet forward on any of that. But I do think I think at this point, Godzilla Kong will come out on whatever it's supposed to, March something. So I've suggested that we do one of the original ones of those. So either not original, but one of the, like, early reboots. So either Godzilla 2000 or King Kong.
Like 25 Godzilla movies, starting with Godzilla from 1950s. Luckily, I have my Blu-ray collection of all the Heisei era Godzillas, so I'm set.
I mean, some of them are probably pretty good. Yeah, they're definitely better than the one we're going to watch. Here's what we'll do.
I said Heisei, it's the Showa era, because I'm an idiot.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know anything about those at all. When you said that, I was like, wow, that's legit. But here's what I think we should do. Maybe we put it to a poll, maybe.
No, we should do the Godzilla thing. I was just being a jerk.
I always like
people who think the filibuster should be a thing is a jerk. Forget the polls. The people don't get to decide. We decide.
DJ, in the interest of not doing anything, I would like to revive the filibuster on your behalf. I am now filibustering. Wow. I don't want change.
Shocker.
I want to reject the mandate given to the people that should be picking things.
But DJ and I can overrule the filibuster with the 2/3 majority.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
But Diggins, you forget. DJ also loves unity and values it over anything helpful.
Unity.
Anyway, all right. So let's do Godzilla 2000, the one with Matthew Broderick and the guy from France.
That's a lot of fish.
Yeah. There's so much stuff. I really am, like, out of all of the things that we've suggested, I'm most looking forward to that. I mean, like, Fast 5 is good, but, like, the fucking, man, Godzilla 2000 is such a weird movie.
Now, I haven't actually seen Godzilla 2000 since I was a kid, so I am genuinely interested in looking back on it with fresh eyes.
Dude, it's crazy. I saw it once when I was a kid and once, like, about halfway since then, so like, probably 2010. And then that's it. But I remember so much. And I'm sure there's so much that I've forgotten. I can't wait. Before that, do you guys want to get to our classic segment real quick?
Let's do it.
Let's recommend some things. That. DJ, do you have anything to recommend to the fine people?
I do. So I think one of the most important recs that I could rec is that Doom Eternal is on the Xbox Game Pass, and you should play it if you have Game Pass because Doom Eternal is so good. I have no background with Doom, but I had heard from a lot of people that it was good, so I decided to give it a shot. I really don't get the story that much. Like, they're monsters. It's the way Future and Monsters from Hell have, like, destroyed Earth. And there's this, like, Doom guy, who comes up and beat them all up. I don't really care about the story. Just the gameplay and gunplay is so fun. I don't need to talk about how great Doom Eternal is. You know, it was I think it was fairly well documented that it was, like, one of the better games that came out in 2020.
There's another one, right? There's Doom 1 of the reboot, right?
Yeah, that was in 2016.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people tend to call it Doom 2016, like we tend to do with reboots that just call themselves the original name.
Right, like Godzilla 2000.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's fate of the Furious. Anyway, sorry.
So, like, again, I'm super lost in the story. Like, the only reason I'm playing the game is because, well, like, A, it's amazing, but 2, it's on Game Pass. So, and I've talked about before how I just think Game Pass is really good. It's Netflix for games, but, like, new games, not, like, old-ass games. So that's really, really good. Check that out. I also started playing Hitman 3 because that just came out, and I love these, like, new Hitman reboots.
I have been so tempted by these Hitman games. Like, I feel like I've been one push away from buying them so many times.
Oh man, I'm trying to think, like, what can I tell you that would be the thing to, like, yeah, you should absolutely do it.
Now's not a good time.
Well, I don't know. Maybe for your birthday, some generous benefactor will drop them down your chimney or whatever. I just melted your birthday with Christmas. I don't know why I did that. Anyway, if anyone was on, like, what would I say to anyone who's kind of on the edge? I think that the story is so good, and the game does have, like, a lot of replayability for how you could, like, go around and do missions and just kind of experiment. I had one where I was trying to like, kill them only with guns, and because there's, like, you don't have to make challenges for yourself. There's all these challenges embedded into the game, and, like, they're just milestones you can kind of hit, and just finding ways to do that's interesting. There's sniper challenges. Also, like, again, the story is so good. The level design of this one in particular is awesome. I'm really excited for the James Bond game that IOI, the developers of Hitman, are making. I think comes out in 22 or maybe late 21. But I'm sure, like, them making a James Bond game will be amazing. So yeah, I think it's hard. Like, if you haven't played the Hitman games, like, Hitman 3 would be a really weird place to start. And I think, like, they give you a summary of the story, but I just think you'd be better off starting at Hitman 1 and just playing through the whole thing because it's so fun. It's also the first PS5 game I played that does, like, the haptic feedback with the controls, and it is pretty good.
When did the first Hitman, like, when did Hitman 1 come out?
So for the reboot that they're doing, I think it was 2015.
Oh, okay. So it's not an ancient game, but it's probably cheapish.
So
you can actually, for Hitman 3, you can get all the Hitman 1 and 2 levels. So you can just buy Hitman 3 and that DLC and, like, get the whole thing.
Well,
and they're remastered for, like, the better graphics, which is great.
Yeah.
Like, it's awesome. So yeah, like what Diggins said, you could do that, which I guess I would recommend. If you haven't played them, just get 3 and buy all of the packs and stuff. So and they've done, like, a really good job of, like, I've been playing since Hitman 1 and they carried all my stuff over, and I just kind of appreciate that like they've gone across, like, console generations, and I got
not if you're on
progress,
PC though, thanks to the Epic Game Store.
Wait, what do you mean?
Is it not on
it's
PC?
An Epic Game Store. It's an Epic Game Store exclusive for a year, so you can only buy it on the Game Store. And the other games were on Steam, and it turns out people have been having a very, very difficult time getting their Steam games, like, linked up with their Epic Game Store game, and, like, they've been saying that they're going to have a solution for that and that you are going to be able to do it, but I think it's still an issue right now.
Hooray!
All right, well,
capitalism.
In that case, I'm speaking from my privilege of console experience there, so my bad. I haven't had any problems on console, but point taken. So recommend that. The last thing I want to recommend, and this is much more accessible than, like, expensive video games, you're getting a Game Pass subscription. So I believe we talked about All Gas, No Brakes before on the channel.
Yeah.
Okay. So Vice did an interview with the guys from All Gas No Breaks, and it's amazing. It's like 20 minutes. It's on YouTube. You can just YouTube Vice All Gas No Breaks, and it's very interesting to hear the guy just talk as the guy and like his thought process and stuff. One little insane tidbit from the interview, that's just something he drops, is he apparently has permanent brain damage from doing too many mushrooms when he was a kid, like when he was 13. And he like talks about that.
Wow.
So watch this interview. It's insane.
I'm glad, not glad it was mushrooms, but there was a part of me that thought you were going to say, like, from getting beaten up at a Proud Boys rally. So I think my brain was a little bit happy for him that it wasn't that. Or from getting COVID at a COVID rally or something. I don't know.
Yeah, no, this is like totally unrelated to his stuff just when he was a kid. So
was he at the inauguration, I wonder?
I don't know.
Or not the inauguration, you know what I mean.
Or like the January 6th riots. I don't know. I tend to doubt it for like a couple reasons that you guys talked about in the video, like how to get around. I just tend to doubt it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
But I watch it. It's like really good. Vice does like really good journalism in general, but just when I saw this go across my feed, I'm like, oh my god, this is going to be awesome, and it was. So I would definitely recommend watching that, especially if you're a fan of All Gas No Breaks.
Awesome.
So yeah, that's all I got.
Diggins, what about you? You got anything to recommend to the fine people?
Yeah, just a couple quick things here. One, if I'm assuming most of you don't need me to say this, but like if you're a Marvel skeptic or someone who is less into Marvel, the MCU, etc., I would say I'm been greatly enjoying WandaVision. I think you don't really need a lot of knowledge of the MCU. I mean, it helps you pick up on like little like clues and hints and like little cameo type things that they put in there, but you don't need that stuff. It's telling a completely functional story on its own. As long as you have a basic idea of who Scarlet Witch and Vision are, which I feel like is not very difficult. And it's a really fun, I like the base level like sitcom part of it is a pretty good and funny sitcom.
Yeah.
And then sorry, you go.
I was just going to say, I agree. I think that's like so much of the fun for me. As much as I enjoy all the Marvel stuff, it's just a solid old, episode of Bewitched or whatever.
Yeah. And then the greater like horror mystery element that they're tying into it that grows as it goes on has been pretty interesting so far. I hope, with a lot of mystery things, it kind of hinges a lot on if they can land it effectively in the end. But for now, I think they're doing a very good job with it. So I would definitely check that out. I've also been playing a lot of Dark Souls 3, which is the third Dark Souls game. I probably have mentioned the other ones before on this podcast. I like those games. They're very hard, but they're fun. They're very much, you get in this cycle of you find the next spot where you are having trouble. You bash your head against the wall a few times. You'll learn about it. You get better. You beat it, and then you feel great. And then until you find the next thing where you have a lot of trouble. Which is just a really refined gameplay loop at this point. They're good at it. I have some other thoughts that I might save for any newsletters I might run about that third game and how it relates to the second one. But it's a fun game to play, and you should, if you are a fan of that series, I would check it out. I would not sure I would do it as your first one. I think it's probably the hardest one of these, so maybe start with the first one or with Bloodborne or something, but it's a good game if you like those games.
Can I start with Demon Souls and do the thing that Donkey did where I get to max out my luck and then I just one hit kill all the bosses?
That's so funny.
Can I do that?
You can totally start with Demon Souls. Demon Souls is a great place to start. I don't think maxing out your luck is going to be a great strategy, but you're welcome to try.
It's just, he gets this like weird item. It's like some kind of coin, and he's able to bring his luck all the way to like 1 million, like some stupid high number.
The coin just maxes your item discovery, so it means when you kill things, you get rare drops more easily.
Well, it was something where he was able to one hit kill all the bosses, and it was like freaking awesome.
It's pretty silly.
You could totally try and replicate that if you would like. Demon's Souls is also a great place to start. And if you're a PS5 haver like DJ, they got that remake that just came out.
Yeah.
Great place for it.
Well, apparently no one's a PS5.
Never played Demon's Souls myself, so I can't personally recommend it. But everything I hear is if you like those games, you're going to like that one.
Nice.
I was just going to say, from all I heard is that no one has a PS5. Apparently you can't get one, no matter how high GameStop stock goes. You're not going to get a PS5. Get wrecked.
Oh, God. All right. GameStop. Jesus Christ. It's so weird.
Right.
Let's see. I would recommend a couple things real quick. I was watching WandaVision, and then I also watched Earth to Ned, that show on Disney Plus that's like a fake talk show by an alien, and it's very funny. I really like that. And I finished it. And I was like, is there anything like this on this network? And I started watching, I think it's called Muppets Now, the Muppets show on Disney Plus. Have either of you guys watched this?
Was it the one from 2016?
That's what you...
It was on like ABC for a minute.
That's what you figure, right? But no, this is different. So that was... I forget what that was called. But this is... It's like the Muppets, basically. Every episode is framed as Skeeter or Scooter. I forget which one. I think that's his name. Scooter being like on a webcam.
Skeeter's from Doug.
Yeah.
Scooter's from the Muppets.
So it's Scooter on a webcam being like, hey, and he gets an email from Kermit. It's like, hey, here's the new episode. Have fun. And then he's like, okay. And it's all segments, as if things you would find on YouTube, right? So there's like a Swedish chef cooking show, Miss Piggy's beauty blog, game show hosted by the Prawn. And the gags are pretty funny. Like, I think some are funnier than others, kind of. But as someone who just can infinitely watch Muppet content forever and pretty much not get tired of it, especially like Muppet Show-ish content, like I thought it was pretty fun. We've watched like 2-3 episodes maybe. My favorite bit is the one with the prawn. He is very funny. I forget his name.
Pepe.
Yeah, Pepe. That's right. Yeah, the Pepe stuff is real great. The Miss Piggy stuff is also pretty funny. It is weird watching the Swedish chef have hands. I've never been a big fan of that. I get that he has to, so the guy can grip the food, but it looks weird. So I'd say that was fun. I had like legitimately good time with that. What else? I watched about half of that movie where Anthony Mackie's a robot, but then I couldn't finish it. It was boring. You know what I'm talking about? It's on Netflix.
I forget the name, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, it's something. It's one of those movies. They got so many of them that are like, yeah, it was okay. It was fine. It was like that one with the Chris Hemsworth or whatever.
Yeah, Extraction. Yeah, it's a Netflix original action movie. What do you want?
Exactly. So, yeah, didn't love it, didn't hate it.
They might as well tagline those movies with, like, shovel this garbage into your mouth, pig.
Yeah, put it on while you clean. I
love that.
Yeah, an action sequence in the beginning, an action sequence in the middle, and an action sequence at the end. We'll make a big sound so you know when to look at the TV and when to just listen to it. 'Cause it's like, it's not bad. It's fine. It's a fine movie. It's fine. But yeah, so watch that. And I was gonna say, I think I talked to DJ about this a little bit. I kind of got back into Apex Legends this week, which for people that aren't familiar, it's kind of like if Halo and Fortnite and Overwatch had a baby, which sounds like the most annoying baby ever made. But it's actually it takes the parts of Halo that are good, which is like the gunplay, the battle royale-ness of Fortnite, and then the hero, whatever it's called, champion kind of setup of Overwatch, and blends them all together in a way that I think is pretty fun. They've made some changes. There's a bunch of new heroes. There's a girl named Rampart, who is my favorite. She spawns cover and a big Gatling gun every so often, so she's a bit of fun. So yeah, I don't know, that's pretty good. Last thing, I've been reading comics as I usually do. I'm reading the all new X-Men movie or book, which came out in like the 2010s maybe, and it's like the X-Men. The premise for it's very interesting. It's Beast. This is when Cyclops is like a revolutionary, and Beast is like, he's gone over the edge. I gotta stop him, but I don't know how. And then I think Bobby is like, man, if he only knew what he had become, like he's gone so far from when he was a kid, he'd be bummed out about it. So Beast is like, oh, that's a great idea, Bobby. I'm going to go back in time and steal the original 5 X-Men and bring them into the future, and then we'll see them react to Scott, and Scott will be like, whoa, this was too far. Thanks, Hank. It doesn't go like that, and there's just like a team of young X-Men running around, and also a team of older... Yeah.
All 5 original X-Men are like, wow, this rules. Good going, future Scott.
It's kind of funny. Some are, some aren't, and they kind of go in different directions with it. I think the one that the one that's the most fun is Iceman, just because he's using this opportunity to like hit on everybody, because like mutants and Iceman and like the X-Men and Cyclops are all kind of celebrities in this world, and they aren't in the 60s, and he's like getting girls' numbers and stuff. Although I think this is the series that's going to out him in a really stupid way. But yeah, I think it's interesting. So I'm 3 volumes into that. Also, finally today, got a copy of, I've been trying to find this for a while, the first issue of Grant Morrison's New X-Men. So this is like one of the reboots from the 2000s. It's supposed to be like one of the best comic runs. Grant Morrison's, he's great, and I'm very excited for this. So I'll probably read it this week. And then also on Book Club, for the Patreon, this week we're doing The Death of Captain Marvel, which I've also never read, which I have that I'm working on, which is kind of interesting, but it's like an old comic, so it reads like an old comic. But yeah, all kinds of fun stuff. Anything to plug?
Same as always, check out Roses and Rejections, covering The Bachelor on the Pop Break podcast feed. Check that out.
Love it.
And I've got my... Whoop, you go. Sorry.
I was just going to say, have you picked a favorite yet, DJ?
So I don't trust anything, because there was a girl, Kristen, who I really liked. She was a lawyer, lived in Jersey City, and I really liked her. And then she got booted. And then this next was a spoiler if you haven't watched the latest episode. There was another girl named Kayla, and she was from North Carolina, where Matt's from, and they seemed to have a good connection. And he booted her off. So I have no sense of like who's gonna win. I think I know who he's gonna pick. I think he's gonna pick Abigail. But I don't fucking know, man. My bearings have been way thrown off, because usually I have a good beat on this, and I have no idea this season. So. Fuck if I know, dog.
Interesting. So this is the most unpredictable season of The Bachelor. It's good podcast fodder. Just watch DJ be upset and confused all the time.
I will say,
watch DJ be wrong constantly, just like this podcast.
Oh, got him.
Somehow the most recent episode had something I hated and loved at the same time. They had the girls' box, which I hate whenever they do fight things, because it's always dangerous and bad and always ends poorly. But they also introduced new women in the middle, which they did last season for Tasha when they did the flip-flop, but they've never done with like a constant guy, just introduced new people, so that was great. Loved that. So yeah, it's, peaks and valleys. Sometimes it's great, sometimes it sucks.
Interesting.
Nothing's perfect.
What about you, Diggs? What do you got?
I have my newsletter, alittleperspective.substack.com. I haven't put out that top 10 list yet that I so publicly proclaimed would be out, but it's mostly written at this point, so hopefully soon.
Cool. I've got a video coming out next, or in a couple of days, that's like my WandaVision, the grand, conspiracy theory of WandaVision. It's just, for some reason, the most researched video I've done. It's going to have sources, and I don't know if I'm right about it. I think like I could be, but I also just think it's interesting, and it's more even if you don't watch WandaVision, which watch it, but it's kind of more of like a discussion of how this show is using symbols and why it's working for this show. So yeah, that'll be out next, or definitely before the next podcast comes out. Probably not before this podcast comes out, but you never know. Oh man, wow, we're halfway through the Fast movies, guys. Incredible.
Yeah.
Just fantastic stuff. So yeah, next week probably Godzilla 2000. We'll let you guys know if that changes. Besides that, I've been Nando V Movies on Twitter.
I'm at Zippy by Day.
I'm at This Is an Odd Name.
Goodbye, everybody. Goodbye. Woohoo!
Bye. We love you.